leaving some winners without their so-called forever payments.
One man who was promised $5,000 per week for life back in 2012, enough to retire on, telling KGW-TV in Oregon he no longer receives the money he relied on.
I'm pretty sure I'm going to lose my home.
Gaming platform ARB Interactive acquired the company out of bankruptcy this summer and established a new platform for sweepstakes opportunities. But ARB says it's not responsible for paying out prizes issued by Publishers Clearinghouse before July 15th.
That's Morgan Norwood reporting, and the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Right now, we've got a crash blocking the left two lanes of 440 eastbound at Nolensville Pike. That is a complete stop in traffic, and that's backed up all the way beyond 65. Then you got northbound 65. You're having to come to a complete stop once you get to the South Loop downtown. Eastbound to South Loop, that's stop and go over to 65. So pretty much what you would expect this time of day every day. And now I see we've got a crash popping up here in Glencliff. Police reporting 24 westbound near Briley Parkway South. I'm Ken Weaver.
Hello, friends. Welcome in. It is just after 3 o'clock. My name is Matt Murphy, and this is the Matt Murphy Radio Show. Happy to have you with us on this Wednesday edition, September 17, 2025. Let's get the pleasantries out of the way, shall we? And get on to the meat of the matter, as they say. It is day 244 of the Donald J. Trump presidency, second term. That's a 1460.5. And it's a pretty good day, too. Man, oh, man. Are y'all looking at some of the images of this state dinner? Wow. You know what? When I was a kid, can I just go ahead and tell you, when I was a kid, I thought they were saying steak dinner. And I thought that's what made it really fancy. That is an absolute truth in Matt Murphy's life. When Matt Murphy was a kid and Ronald Reagan was the president of the United States of America. Ronald Reagan became president. You look confused. Hey, Jackson, how are you?
Hey, buddy.
You look confused.
Yeah, you said when you were a kid, and then you said Ronald Reagan. I don't think those two match up. I think you're thinking of FDR or Eisenhower.
Or Woodrow Wilson, maybe? Mm-hmm.
Maybe Abe Lincoln.
I'm not that old, Jackson. I'm not... as my grandpa used to tell me quite often, hey, Ken, how are you, by the way? My grandpa didn't tell me that.
How about you, boys?
How's it going, man? You all right?
I'm doing good, man.
I wanted Ken to make sure. I wanted to make sure Ken was listening because I feel like Ken might have had family that said a similar thing. My grandpa used to tell me this, Jackson. You ready?
Yeah.
I might be old, but I'm not too old to kick your ass. Now, I'm not saying that about you.
That sounds like a threat in the workplace, Ken Weaver.
I'm just saying that's what my grandfather used to say when I was a young whippersnapper like you.
I'm just saying that is a threat in the workplace. That's assault, brother.
I think you need to. That's right. That's what the young people believe, that words are assault. We're talking about that on the show today.
That's hate speech.
Oh, jeez. You need to take that to HR, which is going to take you about, I don't know,
5 hours.
5.5 hours to get to ATL. I think that's where the HR department is.
I can send him an email.
Can you now?
Yeah.
Ask them about those tickets, too, when you send the email. See if there's any.
We can stop on the way.
We're not supposed to say. We don't need to say anything.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know what you're talking about.
What are you talking about?
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm talking about this. You can find us on a lot of different platforms. Obviously, we're on your radio dial, 997 FM, 99.7 on the FM dial. You can also find us in a variety of other places. Obviously, we're streaming everywhere. We're on a variety of different apps. The bottom line is this. If you have an app platform that you absolutely love and we're not there, tell us and we'll get there. Whether it's Spotify or TuneIn or iHeart, we're there. We're also on our own app. Just download SuperTalk 99.7 WTN in the App Store. Take us wherever you want to go. You can listen to Dan Mandis in Nashville's Morning News. You can listen to Chris Hand right after Dan. You can listen to Chad right before me. You can listen to me. Any of the other great programs like Mark Levin, like Red Eye Radio. We're here. You can listen to Ken Weaver's newscast on a loop, baby. I don't know that you can do it on a loop, but maybe you can fashion something up. Jones in the morning. Whatever you're doing, you need to be listening to us. You can also watch the show. I don't know why you would want to do that. But if you do, you can watch the show on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and Rumble. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and Rumble. Now, speaking of different things that you can watch and listen to, just laid down a new episode of All the Best Words. Very excited about that. That is dropping later on tonight. I think it's at 7 o'clock. And you can find that on the YouTubes. It's on a variety of other platforms, I think Facebook, and you can find it at 997WTN.com on the podcast page. All the Best Words with Matt Murphy and Cameron Smith. Speaking of Cameron Smith, he will be here in the 5 o'clock hour. We've not had a chance to speak to Cameron since Charlie Kirk died. He was not with us last week.
I haven't seen Brother Cameron in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, so he's going to be here today, and excited to hear his thoughts on where we are as a society, where we are as a nation, where we are in terms of our politics and the rest. Excited to hear from you as well. I'm going to lean on you for a couple of answers to a few questions that I have about the nature of the news today. I do not understand the desire to outthink the truth when the truth is right in front of us. I think I understand the idea of conspiracy theories, or let's just call them theories. I think now more than ever, especially with social media platforms elevating the thought processes of so many people that would not have been at the forefront of our minds previous to social media, I recognize that there is a more robust range of thought on any given issue, especially one that has taken the emotional toil that the assassination of Charlie Kirk has taken. But I do not understand the desire that seems to exist in some circles to outthink, understand what I'm saying, to outthink what is the obvious truth, or what I consider to be obvious truths about the murder of Charlie Kirk. And we're watching it happen in real time. To put it as bluntly as I can, Charlie has yet to have a funeral. That happens this Sunday in Phoenix, Arizona. We have yet to fully process the ramifications of his assassination, yet less than a week after he was assassinated by a bullet in Odom, Utah, on the campus of Utah Valley University, I got people in my inbox telling me that it was Israel that did it. What? What? And we have people on national news networks telling us that it was a right-winger. And we have people trying to overly humanize the accused killer. And we've got other people telling us that the FBI knew. And we have other people telling us that he... Look, some of these things will work themselves out in real time, but my goodness gracious, why are we trying to outthink the truth here? I am not certain that this individual that is accused of being responsible for killing Charlie Kirk acted alone. I think that's reasonable to question. I believe that the evidence as we presented it to you first last night, these text messages that have come out, they seem odd. I agree with you that they seem odd. I don't assume that, but what I was fascinated about last night and what I have been further fascinated with today is the presumption that they're fake. Like, I can understand being a little confused and scratching our heads and questioning. I understand being even suspicious. I don't understand the assumption that I see a lot of people making without any facts that they're fake. And then when we lay down that assumption, the people that do so, and I'm not faulting anybody for any of this necessarily. I'm just trying to work it out in real time with you. I consider you to be family. I don't believe anyone's wrong. I don't believe anyone's right. I think we're working through our grief together. We're trying to figure it out together. We want to get to the truth together. There's impediments to that. There are people that are intentionally laying down landmines and obstacles to the truth. And they claim to try to be getting to the truth. And I fully believe that Candace Owens is one of those people. And I'm not afraid to say that. And I know some of you like Candace and whatever. I'm not faulting you for any of that. I'm telling you where I am on it. And I don't apologize for that. That is my opinion. She gets to have hers in America, and I get to have mine. And I get to call Bravo Sierra when I see it. And she is desperately trying to blame Israel on this. Desperately trying to connect dots so that she can blame Netanyahu, whom she hates. And I don't close the door on any of those things. Just bring me facts. Just bring me a trail of evidence that I can understand to get me to the places where we're going. So I don't think anybody's the bad guy in any of this necessarily. Maybe but we're all trying to get to the truth, I think. I hope, most of us, at least. But I don't understand when you create an opinion in your mind, a lot of times what seems to happen to me, so you create this opinion, and your opinion is when you see the text messages, you decide. Let's just walk through the text messages for a moment, right? Are they odd? Yes, they're odd. Do they seem, we'll say phony? Do they seem weird? Yeah, they seem weird. Do I know that they're fake? Of course I don't. No, neither do you, by the way. But there are people in my inbox today telling me that they're fake. I had a guy email me this morning. Those are obviously fake emails or text messages, rather. Obviously fake. And so when you do that, when we're trying to get to truth and we're trying to dissect what's going on, what unfortunately happens is when you decide in your own mind that something that you can't possibly know to be true or false is true, then you lay that down as a foundational truth as you build your theory. And sometimes I would suggest that that creates such a faulty premise that your entire theory is going to be screwed up as a result. Because in order for you to believe that these are fake texts, you either have to believe two things. That one, they're fake in terms of they were created by someone. And then in order to believe that, you naturally have to believe that the FBI is lying to you. The Trump FBI is lying to you. That Kash Patel's lying to you. That Dan Bongino's lying to you. Or we believe that these were real texts from Tyler Robinson and his boyfriend, but they were designed to absolve the boyfriend of any guilt or any association or any foreknowledge. Well, if that's the case, I fully believe that the FBI will get to the bottom of that. If this individual had foreknowledge of the events, and we heard from Kash Patel earlier today, and he said that they're investigating every single person on the Discord pages and every single person that had interaction with this individual that's allegedly responsible for the shooting death, the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And I fully believe that we'll get to the bottom of that. I am a little bit, and maybe I shouldn't be, and maybe I'm obsessing with it. I'm just fascinated with the desire to outthink the truth. And to decide for yourself that the truth is not good enough, and we have to create something more that is ultimately more sinister. And when major political figures like Charlie Kirk, when life-changing figures like Charlie Kirk are taken from us, it is natural. It doesn't necessarily have to happen in this fashion. I believe that when we find ourselves mourning the loss of larger-than-life figures that we feel like we knew, especially when we feel that they are taken from us, we don't want to believe that the littlest people among us could be responsible for the taking of those people. And sometimes there is a broader conspiracy, and sometimes there's not. I'll give you an example that's less macabre and dramatic. Elvis Presley died at the age of, let's see if Jackson knows, because this is always fun time with Jackson. Jackson, how old was Elvis Presley when he died?
45.
That's a fine. You know what? Sometimes you impress me.
Blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while.
It's a pretty good guess. It wasn't 45. It was 42. But that's fair enough.
So way to go, Brother Jackson.
Way to go, Jackson. You're in the ballpark. You're in the neighborhood. Yeah, he was 42 years of age when he died. And people didn't want to believe it. And people wanted more Elvis Presley. They wanted the rest of his life. They felt like that the rest of his life, due to, sadly, his drug use and other things surrounding him, they felt like the rest of the life that he would have lived was taken from them. And so what did they do, Jackson? They created this narrative that he wasn't dead.
People did the same with Tupac.
People have done, that's where I was going. People have done the same thing with Tupac. People have created conspiracy theories about who killed Jim Morrison. Oh, yeah. Jim Morrison of The Doors. The Doors was a band. Sometimes I feel like, yeah, The Doors, they were a band, not ring, 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 ring. The Doors, like they were a band. They sang a few songs back in the 1960s, Jackson. L.A. Woman.
I love
People Are
the
Strange.
Open and Shut album.
Rank, 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 rank.
The Slam album is where they lost me.
Really? You don't like that?
It was too edgy.
We, you know what my band was in college? I had a band in college. We called ourselves Monkey Butt. We did. And our first album was Wipe. The Wipe album. It was like the White Album, the Beatles' White Album, but it was the Wipe album. We thought we were so damn funny. We thought we were so funny. And then we put out a complete box set. We called it Monkey Butt Hole.
I feel like you're making this up.
I'm not making any of this up.
Bring it in.
I can bring you some of the music in.
How good was it?
It was not as good as I remember it because I recently, about a year ago, I found it and I listened to it. We had classic hits like Mark Twain Rent-A-Cat, Spam Sandwich, big hit, that Spam Sandwich. Cafe Fumas was another one. Oh yeah, Can of Beans, that was a hit.
Can of beans.
I want a can of beans. Anyway, point being is that when we feel like people are taken from us, we want to believe that something larger was at play. And I caution you to fall into the trap of deciding something is truth before we have any idea how to build this foundation and how to construct what really happened in a fashion that makes sense. That's all. That's all. It's 24 after the hour. I would love to hear from you. I do not understand how Israel's responsible for any of this. I have not found any of the evidence that would make me believe that. I understand that Charlie Kirk, like any other major organization, was being pressured by donor groups to have this position or that position on any given issue on any given day. That is fully understandable. At the same time, I just haven't seen the evidence that would support some of the conspiracy theories that are running around online. But I'm open to conversation. 615-737-9986. Give us a call. It's 25 after the hour on Super Talk. Hello, friends. Matt Murphy for the Tennessee Men's Clinic. You know, ED, as we call it, can wreck your confidence, man. I'm just going to go right there and talk to you about it. It can impact your relationship, your mental health, your sense of identity, your state of mind. But there's good news, and there's real help available. Since 2014, the Tennessee Men's Clinic has helped thousands of men get back to feeling like themselves. First, in Midtown. That location opened in 2014. Second, in Cool Springs. And now in Clarksville. And more to come on the location front because they've got more shops opening up on the regular later on this year. No matter where you are in Middle Tennessee, however, expert care is close by. These are not cookie-cutter treatments. Tennessee Men's Clinic is urology-based and staffed with multiple licensed professionals, providers that specialize in men's health and more particularly in men's sexual health. They use proven treatments. Don't trust an online site. Go to the experts, and they can help. Gentlemen, all I'll tell you is the biggest complaint from Tennessee Men's Clinic is that men did not do this sooner. Let's stop whistling past the graveyard and get back into the game, men. With Tennessee Men's Clinic, 615-208-9090, $99 your initial treatment, and you'll walk away with a medical consultation, blood work, and a test dosed right there in the office if medically advised. 615-208-9090 or TennesseeMen'sClinic.com.
Federal Reserve trimming interest rates. This story and more at 3:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I can't get him on camera, guys. I almost got the head of the snake on camera. The sales snakes down there. I call them that in love. I love those sales guys. I love all of you. If you're listening to the show, I love every single one of you, especially Dave, the head of the snake. And I've been trying to get him on camera for the last year and a half, and I've yet to be able to do so. 615-737-9986. I mean, you can call me. You cannot call me. You know what? Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm the only one that's bothered by the amount of people that are, in my opinion, recklessly speculating on things that they don't really know about. I guess it's a byproduct, and I can understand that, of the idea that we don't trust our government institutions in a manner that we used to. I mean, there was a time when, even now, I trust the FBI implicitly more than I did a year ago, but I don't pretend that organization has been cleaned out fully. I don't trust the CIA further than I can throw the organization, and I couldn't throw the organization anywhere with this bum shoulder. So I understand the suspicion that we would have, but this idea that, automatically the text messages are phony and automatically, the FBI knew. I heard that last night too. And I'm curious if you're curious about that. I will say this. I'm also sick of this idea that there is some sort of balance between the levels of left-wing political extremism and right-wing political extremism. So much so that I did a little sleuthing last night into the background of this individual that is accused of the death of the Minnesota Speaker of House. You've probably heard about him. His name, I bet you don't know his name, because while many within media circles want to pretend that they care about this story, they haven't carried the water on this story whatsoever. They dropped the ball on this story almost immediately after this Minnesota lawmaker and her husband were killed. That would be Melissa Hortman and her husband, Mark Hortman. Obviously, they were killed in a political hit job by an individual. This assassin by the name of Vance Bolter was universally condemned in the aftermath of this killing that happened earlier this year. And now suddenly we're saying, well, why haven't we talked more about that? Well, why haven't you talked more about that? You dropped the ball on that too. So we'll get into that in just a moment on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Right now it's news time on Super Talk.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes, and the Federal Reserve trimming interest rates for the first time this year. ABC's Mike Nabusky has details.
The quarter-point interest rate cut falls in line with what analysts had been expecting, with 11 of the 12 Fed governors voting in favor of the move. The only dissenter, newcomer Stephen Myron, had been pushing for a half-point cut. Fed Chair Jerome Powell says it comes as inflation numbers tick up and the job market finds itself in an unusual balance.
Typically, when we say things are in balance, that sounds good. But in this case, the balance is because both supply and demand have come down quite sharply.
Mike Nabusky, ABC News.
Federal Reserve has in recent months been under pressure from the president to lower rates. Speaking of the president, President Trump having dinner in the UK. This is his second state visit to the UK, his first one during his first term. Today he was greeted by King Charles. And Mary Bruce says the president's also scheduled to meet with British Prime Minister Keir Starmer to talk about trade, the war in Ukraine, and Israel's war with Hamas.
President Trump has been pretty blunt and frank that he doesn't expect much concrete to come out of this visit. This is largely about ceremony and a chance to really shore up and strengthen the ties that bind these two nations.
And ABC's Tom Sufi Burridge is in Israel with the latest on what's going on there in Gaza, that ground operation by Israeli Defense Forces.
Aid agencies say nowhere in Gaza is safe to go. Israeli tanks rolling into Gaza City with roughly 700,000 Palestinians still there and under heavy bombardment, with regular explosions rocking the Gaza skyline.
That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, 440 eastbound. There at Nolensville Pike. The off-ramp to Nolensville Pike is partially blocked by a crash. Got a crash 65 northbound before 440. Also a crash in Glencliff, 24 westbound near Briley Parkway South. I'm Ken Weaver.
Hello, friends. Matt Murphy for the Tennessee Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solution Center. I love talking about Brian McLaughlin because I can relate to you my personal experience with the Tennessee Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solution Center. You know, when Dr. McLaughlin was just getting to the center and Dr. Ponce was still there and Dr. McLaughlin has taken over and just run with the center, Murfreesboro and Brentwood, 2 locations. They're doing great work over there. I absolutely love what Dr. Brian McLaughlin's doing with the place and loved Dr. Ponce. But at the time, I said, you know, I don't snore that much, but I think I don't have energy like I should. They said you should take a sleep test. I did, and lo and behold, I had mild to moderate sleep apnea. Now I have a mouthpiece that has been specifically designed for my mouth, FDA approved. I wear it on in the night, and I sleep better. I sleep more fully. I get restful sleep, and I don't have health issues related to sleep apnea. That's what it's all about. And guys, if you snore, this could be a solution to your snoring. It gently holds the jaw forward. It is not only FDA approved, but it is within network with your insurance company. In other words, the insurance company will cover much of the cost of this apparatus, of this device. Now, go to TennesseeSleep.com to find out more. That's TennesseeSleep.com. Schedule your appointment today. You'll sleep better tonight. TennesseeSleep.com. Hey, friends, Matt Murphy for U.S. Pest. J.K. and Erica Brister started U.S. Pest with one concept in mind. When they got on board, they thought, man, we're going to eliminate pests in the state of Tennessee. It's a lofty goal. Obviously, there's a lot of them out there. A lot, and I'm not just talking about the politicians. I'm talking about stink bugs and ants and brown recluse spiders and termites and ticks and fire ants and ladybugs, all of it. And, of course, roaches. Everyone's hated roaches. If you have bugs in your life, you need full service pest control from U.S. Pest. If you have a termite issue and you don't know what to do, preventative or corrective services available with 100% money back guarantee from U.S. Pest. Crawl space service available as well. Friends, you need monthly service. It's the bottom line. Pests are around all year long. Don't think you're immune in the wintertime. You need this year-long service, and you need to get it right now at U.S. Pest. Go to uspest.com, talk to Erica, J.K., or the rest of the team, uspest.com, or call 590-1260, 590-1260 for U.S. Pest. Super Talk 99.7 WTN, Matt Murphy, and the Matt Murphy Radio Show. Cameron Smith in the 5 o'clock hour, you on the phones. I'm particularly interested in your thoughts on where we are at this stage. I also am trying to, and I don't know if we have the ability to do it. I don't know that I can ultimately convince any political leftist that might be listening to my radio show that I'm earnest when I bring this up. But I am certainly earnest when I bring this up, and this is this. I genuinely want to know if any of these folks that are referring to Charlie Kirk as a racist or a fascist or a name caller, can any of you tell me exactly what made Charlie Kirk a fascist or a racist? What did he say? I am of the belief and of the stated opinion that none of you have any idea what you're talking about. That you are regurgitating language that you're picking up from your peers, and you are vomiting it out for no reason other than it makes you feel better because you applaud the death of a human being. And by calling him names, it makes you feel better. Somehow, I think y'all are just saying crap that make you feel better about cheering the cold-blooded assassination of a fellow human being. And if I'm wrong, I am happy to be disabused of this notion. If you would call me, even if you didn't cheer, if you think of or thought of Charlie Kirk as a fascist, tell me what that means. Tell me what the word means. And tell me how it applies to him. I'll wait. I'm still waiting. I've been waiting. I asked this question, 3-4 days ago on social media platforms, and I'm still waiting. Because I do not know what the hell you people are talking about. I don't. Because he had a different opinion than you? Because he was not afraid to present his opinion in a forceful manner? Because he believed he was right and he challenged your viewpoint on the world? He challenged your opinion on the world? Because he said some things that in your circles were considered to be controversial? That made him a fascist? Do you even know what that word means? James is in Lebanon. Hey, James, glad you called.
Hey, bud, I got a couple of things. One, I was listening to, when he went up for Congress this morning, and, those people, they love to divert attention. They love to, but, they keep bringing up the guy that over there had the island, Epstein. Does any of them morons realize that, don't you think that if Trump's name was in there in a bad way, they had all this information for 4 years and they never brought it out? Don't you think that the Democrats would have used it in the election? But now I want to go back to where you talking about the Democrats calling him a fascist. Listen, this may step on people's toes, but I've done got where I really don't care. The bottom line with the Democrats it comes down to abortion and homosexuality. They'll come up with every word, talk about every topic, but the real topic is abortion and gay rights. And I've got news for you, whether anybody out there likes it or not. There's a guidebook to the way life is supposed to be. And there ain't nobody out there that can tell me that if the whole world went by that guidebook, the world wouldn't be a better place. You can downgrade it like they try to do all the time. They like to downgrade, religion. But the bottom line is there's a guidebook. And in that guidebook, a lot of the liberals want to say, well, it's got all those these and thous and all. listen, if you've read the Bible about a man and another man and a woman and another woman, it is as close to Southern English you can understand it. There is no definite, you don't have to go to the dictionary and try to understand the word. It is a sin. It is an abomination. Murdering children is wrong. It's that simple. When they get off of that horse malarkey, the world will be a whole lot better. But that's the only thing Democrats got now. They got the gays. They got the kids that's out there, drinking, and they try to use. Well, they've used the people of color for numerous years. They've used them. They've used them for every vote. Well, the people of color are smartening up, and they knew they had to open up that gate down there. And that's the only way they were going to get any votes. And that's the reason the Democratic Party is going to nosedive.
Oh, you mean the southern border? When you said the
yeah,
gate?
They knew. Well, here's one thing, and I'll go. It has killed me. How? Let me ask you this. If I took you and I carried you down to Guatemala, you 3,000 miles from America, and I told you you're on your own, like the Democrats showed those pictures. We got 10,000 people coming from Guatemala. They're running from their country. Do you think if you walk 3,000 miles, when you got up there to Del Rio, Texas, Brownsville, Texas, you're going to be wearing brand new Nike T-shirt, tennis shoes, Levi's, a clean white T-shirt with a backpack and a nice hat? People don't even look at that and think it was nothing up. They promised those people things to get their votes. That's it.
Oh,
it's simple.
Well, Joe Biden not only encouraged it, he told them explicitly, you get here, you get to stay. I mean, other Democrats did the same.
Well, why are they mad at the Republicans?
Right.
Why ain't they mad at that bum? He didn't fulfill his promise.
No, there's a lot to unpack in your call, James. I want to say that I will add to you. You know, I think a lot of people, I don't think it's about homosexuality anymore as I think it's about transsexuality. And I think those are two different things. And I see I see a lot of people, a lot of gay people that I know and that I talk to, they want nothing to do with it. And they've become Republican voters as a result. They legit would say, and we can believe them or not believe them, it's fine, but I use it as an example. They would say to you, look, all I wanted was an ability to have paperwork, to live with my partner or whatever. And I just wanted to be treated, equally and left alone. But I don't want any of this stuff. I don't want these mutilations on children. I don't want these types of activities that are going on. Sadly, many of them feel as disillusioned as the rest of us when we watch this type of thing going on. And I think they're losing those groups as well. The political left exists on groupthink, right? They have to get blocks of people together and tell those blocks of people that you, James left me. I'm sorry about that, James. I didn't hang up on you. That James and that Matt Murphy and that others are the enemy. We're the enemy. And that all of you in this particular identity group, you are being oppressed by the enemy. This is the way they've operated in modern politics for a long time. And if you don't understand why mentally deranged people might take it to the next level, understand this. They've been telling you and I and anyone who would listen for a long time that if you're a part of an identity group, like if you're a homosexual, or if you consider yourself transgender, or if you're a person of color, that you are being oppressed. And who's the oppressor? The evil white people. For the most part. More specifically, Christian white males, because they try to do the same thing with women and obviously non-Christians. Well, when you engage in that level of identity politics, why in the world would you be surprised if mentally deranged people don't believe you? Of course they're going to believe you. When you repeat over and over again that I'm a fascist, that I'm a Hitler, that I'm this, that, and the other thing, and now you're shocked that someone took action? And now you want to claim that all of these things are equal and that you've got equal amounts of people going off their rocker on both sides? Bravo, Sierra, to that. That is garbage. Anytime a mentally deranged individual commits an act of violence against another person, you'll hear Matt Murphy denounce that level of violence because it's wrong. Human life matters. We value the sanctity of life. At least I do. But words mean things too. Words matter too. And when you consistently refer to someone as a fascist, what do the people that hear you think? What do they say? What is the mental image? Let's play this thought experiment. And you can call me and answer, or you can answer on the super text line or wherever. When I say fascist, what mental image comes in your mind? Well, we all know. That's intentional, folks. They don't even know what they're talking about. They don't know what fascism is or was. They don't care. Fascism means evil. They want to characterize those that think differently than them as evil. That's not the way this American experiment works. Never has, never will. And I'm not afraid of the rhetoric. As a matter of fact, the rhetoric is a good thing. Heated rhetoric is a good thing. We don't need to tone down anything. We don't. Why would I tone down anything? I'm not shooting anyone. You're not shooting anyone. That is just a way to try to equate everything that we're about with, sadly, what they have sown. They want to try to spill some blame into your lap and to my lap as to what they have sown with their own language. And I'm not doing it. There are currently, well, I guess if you can, I don't know what the status of this of the case involving Vance Bolter is. I don't know what his status is. I'm going to look that up in the break. But if I'm not mistaken, there are exactly 3 court cases going on right now regarding assassinations. Now, there's 4 if you count this Bolter fellow, but there's 3 going on. Luigi Mangione, Ryan Ruth, and Tyler Robinson. There would be 4 if this dude in Butler, Pennsylvania had not been shot and killed as a result of him trying to kill the president of the United States of America. What do those have in common? They're all on trial for political violence, and they're all left-wing. It's 53 after the hour on Super Talk. Hello, friends. It's Matt Murphy, and boy, oh boy, do I have a deal for you, and it all involves advanced hair. I want to talk about it because advanced hair, if you're losing your hair and you desire to get that hair back, then Advanced Hair Restoration has the easiest and guaranteed solutions. Their simple one-day treatment offers life-changing results, and I've seen it with my own eyes. Guys, it's not magic, but close to it. They put hair where you need it the most, and bam, it grows. That's right. It's actually science. Advanced Hair has it all. Top-rated doctors, modern technology, and the best of all, you get to use your own natural hair that begins regrowing the very next day. Advanced Hair even guarantees that it will grow for life. So schedule your free consultation right now at 629-348-HAIR, 629-348-HAIR. If you qualify, you get $250 off and 250 free hair grafts. Advanced Hair has changed the lives of tens of thousands, and they are the team that I will personally recommend to you. So do not wait. Check out the before and afters online for yourself. 629-348-HAIR or advancedhair.com. That's advancedhair.com.
4 o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. And right now in Middle Tennessee, Channel 4 spoke to a man who saw the body of a woman that was in a car parked at a McDonald's on Murfreesboro Road in Laverne today.
People dying every day. That's really crazy. Like, I just saw it. I thought she was sleeping. I'm like, dang, she's dead?
Her windows down, or was her car on?
It was like cracked a little bit. The car was off. I was just really scared in the moment, really.
Police identified the body as 21-year-old Jocelyn Krause, who was reported missing by her family yesterday after she did not return home from work. The Laverne Police Department, detectives, crime scene investigators looking into Krause's death with the assistance of the Rutherford County Medical Examiner. The Federal Reserve has taken the expected measure of cutting interest rates by 0.25 percentage point. Fed Chair Jerome Powell says the slowing jobs market, the main reason why the Fed made the cut.
You've got a low firing, low hiring environment. And the concern is that if you start to see layoffs, the people who are laid off there won't be a lot of hiring going on. So that could very quickly flow into higher unemployment.
The Fed also could cut rates a couple of more times this year. Well, after a royal greeting at Windsor Castle, meetings and ceremonies, King Charles and President Trump entered St. George's Hall for the UK state banquet. King Charles delivering a welcome speech.
Mr. President, Mrs. Trump, it is with great pleasure that my wife and I welcome you to Windsor Castle on this, your second state visit to the United Kingdom.
President Trump offering thanks.
Together we've done more good for humanity than any two countries in all of history. Together we must defend the exceptional heritage that makes us who we are, and we must continue to stand for the values and the people of the English-speaking world, and we do indeed stand for that.
So dinner tonight, then tomorrow talks with Prime Minister Keir Starmer on trade, the wars in Ukraine and Gaza. In Gaza, Israeli Defense Forces ongoing ground operation to eliminate Hamas, but Tom Sufi Burridge in Tel Aviv says not everyone in Israel wants it.
We're seeing more protests again today, particularly in Jerusalem, outside Prime Minister Netanyahu's residency. Some of the families of the hostages calling for a deal to end the war. They are against this new offensive in Gaza City.
That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Jolton, police reporting an injury crash 24 westbound before Whites Creek Pike. Then in, looks like 40 westbound on-ramp from Donaldson Pike. Over by the airport, a crash. The on-ramp partially blocked there. 40 westbound on-ramp from Donaldson Pike. I'm Ken Weaver.
Hello, friends. Welcome back. Hour number 2 of the Matt Murphy Radio Show continues right now, or starts, I should say. It is 7 minutes after the hour. Thank you for being around on this Wednesday edition, September 17 edition. We're on a lot of different platforms. You can find us on 99.7 FM. You can also find us on Spotify and TuneIn and iHeart. We're on Talk TV, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and Rumble. Wherever you might be, give us the old thumbs up, the like, subscribe, and all of that, and it helps us out tremendously. We appreciate you. 615-737-9986 is the telephone number, 615-737-9986. If you desire to be a part of the show, you are invited, and that is the way to communicate with the broadcast. You can also hit us up on the super text line, same telephone number, 615-737-9986. Dave says, hey, Ken, is there a Kirk event at MTSU tonight? I don't know about MTSU, and I don't know if Ken knows, but I do know that there is one going on tonight. There's a prayer vigil happening tonight in Nashville at Centennial Park. It says by the Band Shell. That's the big shell that, yeah, I know where that is. It's over there by the ship. There's the bow of the ship or the front of the ship. And then there's a band shell over there. Yeah. Centennial Park by the band shell, 6 p.m. this evening, Wednesday, September 17th. That announcement was made on social media platforms earlier today. So people all over America are gathering to remember and to pray. It is an event that's happening all over the community, and it's happening tonight in Nashville. And there was also one in Mount Juliet that was this weekend, if I'm not mistaken. And I'll get to that as soon as I get over. As soon as I can find it again, I'll get to give you the details on that. But there's one in Mount Juliet happening this weekend, and I can't get to the space to click because the stupid thing. No, I don't want I don't want this notification. Why are you giving? I don't want to clear the notification. I don't understand laptop. Sometimes technology is difficult, and sometimes it makes me want to throw something across a room. Why are you not giving me just X out of that? Thank you.
I'm sure there's classes at the senior center that'll help you.
You might be working there by the time I get over there. You never know. Thank you, Ken. 615-737-9986. Yes, there's a Charlie Kirk vigil tonight at MTSU. And there were 600 people at the event last night in Lewisburg. That's good news. Obviously, there's a lot of folks getting back to church, a lot of folks wanting to pray. And you know what I did not see a lot of? Didn't see a lot of rioting, didn't see a lot of looting, didn't see a lot of anger, didn't see a lot. I mean, I saw a lot of praying. I saw a lot of prayer vigils. I know that there's been a lot of anger, but that anger has been channeled into positive ways to get with like-minded people and to try to do what is necessary to claw our nation back. We talked in the first hour about the desire to outthink the truth when it comes to what actually happened in this situation. I'll continue discussing that. I have seen no evidence. There are rumors going around on social media platforms that the FBI knew in advance of this. I've seen no evidence that that's the case. I've seen no evidence to suggest, and frankly, I'd be open to some of this evidence when it comes to the text messages, because when we saw these last night, when these were first reported, and we read some of these text message exchanges between the suspected shooter and his boyfriend, they seemed stilted and forced, and maybe they were just talking that way. Maybe they just seemed that way to us because we know the aftermath of everything that's come from then until now. I don't, some last night said, oh, these are made up. Well, made up by whom? And I saw someone in the super text line made the comment, I distrust the government until proven otherwise. Oh, I mean, I guess I understand that sentiment. Do we not trust Trump's government more so than perhaps Biden's government, or we just don't trust? Look, you're talking to a radio show and you're talking to a radio host that has publicly declared that we will never rebuild the trust in the FBI until you dismantle it and rebuild it with a different name and rebuild it with a different mission statement than the one that got corrupted so awfully over the last 40 to 50 years. So I get it. I fully understand it. But I also trust this FBI a hell of a lot more than I would trust to Joe Biden's. And I don't understand why this FBI would lie about the text messages. Now, whether or not someone else coordinated with the shooter, whether or not someone else had foreknowledge of what was going on, I believe that. As vocal as this individual was in the aftermath of this shooting, I don't believe for a moment that he was not vocal beforehand. And so we'll find out together exactly who knew what and when. Walnut Grove, 7:30 on the campus of MTSU is what I'm now being told. So 7:30 tonight, MTSU campus. Obviously, MTSU, Middle Tennessee State University, one of the campuses. Campi? Multiple campuses? Campi?
No, it's campuses.
I think I'm going with campi because I want to. There were multiple campi across the state of Tennessee. That feels better. That feels so much better than campuses. Campuses sounds silly. Don't be silly, Jackson. Come on. ETSU was one, UT Knoxville was one, and MTSU was another, where professors, for whatever reason, felt the desire to publicly celebrate the death of another human being, and they have been summarily dismissed of their duties. Having this misguided thought is one thing. Verbalizing it and publicly declaring it and thinking that you are immune from any sort of responsibility or consequence to your action, that's another piece of weirdness that I will never understand. Why in the world would you think that your freedom to freely express yourself would come free of consequences? Makes no sense to me whatsoever. But there we are. All right, so many on the political left have decided that they want to create some sort of equalization regarding how these things have been happening. Last night we heard about this, but I absolutely love Neera Tanden and what she had to say on the Abby Phillips show last evening on CNN. You know what I say about #NeverCNN? It's a garbage network full of garbage people spewing garbage. Don't watch CNN. I watch CNN so you don't have to. With that in mind, CNN last evening, Abby Phillips talking to individuals about the equivalency of right-wing and left-wing attacks. Hold on.
Not a conservative. I know not everybody at this table is a conservative. But Charlie Kirk was murdered because he talked about God, family, country. Those are views that people like Scott and I hold dearly. If Charlie Kirk, a private citizen, can be targeted for those views, it makes us all feel like we have a target on our back. So it's easy for people who have constant security, who are in high places and don't think they're ever going to be targeted, to speak like this. But to the average conservative like myself, this is a scary time because one of our own was taken out. And I think what people have to realize about left-wing violence is it's not some made-up fantasy. There are 3 court cases going on today for assassinations: Luigi Mangione, Ryan Ruth, and Tyler Robinson. What do all 3 have in common?
I mean,
there
are
lots of political trials for violence.
They're all left-wing.
Yes, but there's also, obviously, we went through, I mean, look, I actually think this whole debate of there's right wing, there's left wing. We should all say, I don't know why it's so complicated to say political violence of any kind is wrong. Of course. But we have obviously had massive levels of political violence on the right. There's actually a Department of Justice actually suppressed an article about it.
Yeah, there's a DOJ deleted a study showing that domestic terrorists are most often right wing. And here's what that study said. Since 1990, far-right extremists have committed far more ideologically motivated homicides than far-left or radical Islamist extremists, including 227 events that took more than 520 lives.
You know what they also do? You notice that since 1990, they're saying 227 events that took more than 520 lives. Have you noted 520 lives since 1990? So if you want to know how ridiculous the study that Abby Phillips was citing there, they did not include 9/11. 9/11 happened in 2001. She's saying since 1990, far-right extremists have committed far more ideologically motivated homicides than far-left or radical Islamic extremists, pardon me, including 227 events that took more than 520 lives. There were almost 3,000 lives taken on 9/11. Why are you dismissing 9/11? Why does 9/11 not count? And secondarily, it's my understanding that the study, and I've not read the full study, it's my understanding that this study automatically assumes that Timothy McVeigh was far right. Timothy McVeigh was anti-government. Anti-government does not necessarily equate to far-right extremism. And I misidentified Breonna Lyman, and I apologize. It was Breonna Lyman that was talking there, not Neera Tanden. Neera Tanden responded to her, and I apologize to her for that. Now, the one that Breonna Lyman did miss was this individual in Minnesota. Authorities in Minnesota have identified the man that was responsible for the attack that killed one state lawmaker and left another one wounded, and had a hit list of 45 elected officials as Vance Bolter, Boelter, 57, apprehended Sunday night. And this was an article that was written on June 16th of this year. Obviously, we all heard the story. The story was set aside in the aftermath of it because it was pretty cut and dry that this guy was a nut job that had decided to do a political hit job. Now, nut job does not absolve him of right-wing or left-wing extremism, and so I went to try to figure out if he was right-wing, left-wing, or what. Vance Bolter was apparently, quote-unquote, religious, at least in as much as he had targeted or had as a target on his list abortion clinics. He was apprehended in the aftermath of a major search. The suspect went to the home of 4 Minnesota state lawmakers, quote, with the intent to kill them, end quote. He said Bolter was disguised as a police officer, drove a black SUV with emergency lights turned on, had a license plate that said police, carried a 9mm handgun, wore a black tactical vest, was disguised in a silicone mask. You remember the image, perhaps, of that disguise. Very creepy looking, bald. The investigator in the case, the Joe Thompson, the U.S. attorney at the time, said the suspect banged on the lawmakers' front doors in the middle of the night, a targeted attack against individuals who answered the call to public service. Now, why have we not heard more about this? And why is there no comparison between this situation and Charlie Kirk's? With obviously no disrespect to the dead. And I feel bad for the family, and I pray for the family of John, or rather Mark and Melissa Hortman, who were both killed. But nobody knew who they were prior to their death. Outside of Minnesota, certainly. I would defy that no one in this listening audience, outside of perhaps people that were originally from Minnesota and were involved in Minnesota politics, would be able to tell me the name Melissa Hortman if I asked you who was the Speaker of the House in the state of Minnesota. So to suggest that this story did not carry the weight that Charlie Kirk is carrying, and that's wrong on the part of the mainstream media, is absurd. These are two very different situations. equally tragic, awful, horrific, and whatever motivations that these individuals carried with them into these killings ought to be examined fully. But let me tell you something. Nobody's examining this killer anymore. The last thing I can find on Vance Bolter was in June. There was one article entitled, "What We Know About the Radicalization of Vance Bolter. Is he left-wing or right-wing? Depends on whom you ask," it says. Vance Bolter was charged with 2 counts of second-degree intentional murder, along with 2 counts of second-degree attempted intentional murder for the attack. He faces federal charges of stalking, murder for the alleged assassination of Hortman and her husband. According to law enforcement, Bolter allegedly visited 2 other lawmakers' homes that night, had a list of between 45 and 70 targets, mostly Democrats and abortion centers. Shortly after the attack, Bolter texted his family group chat, "Dad went to war last night," speaking of himself. He did not have a large digital footprint, did not have a clear manifesto as to his motives. Vehicle belonging to him was found with "No Kings" written on pieces of paper, but it's not clear whether he supported anti-Trump protests or planned to visit one to harm the protesters. Bolter's friends called him a Trump supporter and a Republican, but he served on the Democrat governor business workforce. Other than that, nothing. Not that it matters, because these individual cases ought to be examined individually on their own merits. What the political left is trying to obfuscate desperately is a simple and, I believe, unassailable fact that many portions of their supporters have dehumanized their political opposition to the point that they don't care about the sanctity of their lives. And I think it's as clear as can be when you examine the amount of people that are willing to go publicly online and celebrate, anonymous as they may be, celebrate the death of Charlie Kirk because they consider him a fascist. That is, I understand the whataboutism that's going on #NeverCNN right now, because if you force them to face the fact that a decent enough percentage of Democrat supporters are applauding and celebrating this, then you have to face the fact that the dehumanization of individuals has worked in political circles to the point that they don't value the sanctity of life anymore like they should. I think social media is a part of this. I think there are a lot of components that merit examination. The media doesn't want to talk about any of them. Sadly, we are giving a gift. I feel like we are set to give a gift to the political left here as individuals with their own agendas come forward and attempt to confuse people like you and like me on who the true culprits are without evidence. And I challenge, I was listening to Hand this morning, and I know he got a call or two from individuals that have a belief, that have bought into this belief that somehow Israel is involved. Look, I have probably not as many issues as some, but I have issues with the manner in which Israel has comported itself in the aftermath of October 7th, 2023. And I understand that some like Israel less than others and some like Israel more than me. But it is a hell of a far jump across a pretty wide chasm to suggest that because you disagree with the manner in which Israel's doing its business, that they somehow were on any level responsible for any of this. And why are you bringing any of that up to begin with? Except to fit that square peg into that round hole into your own agenda. Well, that's called making this about you. And each one of you know who I'm talking about. And if you don't, well, bully for you. You're better for it. And yes, we've invited her on the show on multiple occasions. And no, she will not come on because, yes, she considers herself too big to talk to normal people. And she hides behind that. And that's fine. 25 after the hour, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Something awesome is happening at Genesis Diamonds this Friday through Sunday. You've been hearing about this, and it's pretty big. It's a 3-day designer engagement ring showcase. The world's top 2 brands in bridal jewelry will be there, Tacori and Verragio. Tacori from California, Verragio from New York, both here with their entire lineup, including all new rings for this very special event. You can explore hundreds of exquisite American-made designer rings. Plus, Genesis will have special incentives, zero-interest financing, and up to $5,000 in instant saving. In addition, Genesis has an expanded selection of GIA-certified diamonds for this big 3-day event. All shapes, all sizes, rock-bottom prices. It's the best of the best. All these rings are handcrafted by master artisans. Friends, you need to see them to understand them, and they'll be on display this weekend and this weekend only, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Do not miss the bridal jewelry event of the year. If you're thinking of popping the question, men, now is the time to get in with special savings available for you. Green Hills and Cool Springs. Tell them Matt Murphy sent you to this one-of-a-kind event at Genesis Diamonds. I'm going all in, friends, talking to you about Efficient and their maintenance call. The maintenance call is loud and it's clear. Friends, it's September 17th. That means before you know it, if you've not already, you'll be turning that heater on. What are you going to do? You're going to turn it on after it being off since last winter? You're going to smell that smell? You're going to let that dust and dander and all the rest of it just burn off of those coils and just get into the air, get into the atmosphere, endanger your house, endanger your pets, endanger your family? Don't do these things. Let's go ahead and let's get that unit maintenance, because it can not only save you the hassle of smelling that smell and dealing with the health issues that are a part of that, but it also can handle some of the trouble that you might have on the back end if you don't maintenance your heater. That's the bottom line, folks. And Jeff Eddy and Efficient Heating and Cooling understand that this is why they'll never charge over $125 to maintenance your unit. Oftentimes, it's much less than that. This is an upper cap, right? So no matter how many units you have on your residential property, they're going to maintenance all of those when they come out and see you. And if they find something, they're only going to tell you they found something if they actually find something. They're an Elite Pro partner with Rheem, and they can help you out in that regard. But don't forget to ask them about the $125 maintenance guarantee. That means if they come out and maintenance your unit, if there's ever an issue over the course of this cooling season, or this cooled season where your heater is involved, then they'll waive the service fee for you if you've had a maintenance plan done with Efficient Heating and Cooling. Go to efficienthvac.net or call 615-784-4424 for Efficient.
4:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. And right now, out of Pennsylvania, we're monitoring reports of 5 police officers getting shot. The suspect killing himself. This is in York County, Pennsylvania. Happened while officers were serving a warrant, and the suspect opened fire on them. 3 of the wounded officers in grave condition. A 4th is in critical condition. Then a sheriff's deputy was also injured. The suspect is believed to have died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Right now in Middle Tennessee, a shocking discovery in the parking lot of a fast food restaurant on Murfreesboro Road in Laverne this morning. Channel 4's Amber Giant reports authorities have identified the body as 21-year-old Jocelyn Krause.
We're told that an employee who works here at McDonald's noticed that woman was unresponsive in her car, that white Chevy Malibu, and called police just after 11:30. Now, when officers arrived, they confirmed Krause was dead, and now we're learning that the 21-year-old was reported missing yesterday after she did not return home from work.
The Laverne Police Department, detectives, crime scene investigators investigating Krause's death with the assistance of the Rutherford County Medical Examiner. And a victim's body found in the front trunk of an abandoned Tesla belonging to a popular singer has now been identified in Los Angeles.
Earlier this month, a decomposing body was found inside of an abandoned Tesla registered to singer David. His music has 33 million monthly listeners on Spotify. He's been out on a world tour performing as the LAPD has been investigating the body, which has now been identified as 15-year-old Celeste Rivas. A girl by the same name was reported missing from Riverside County in 2024. The Riverside County Sheriff says work is underway to confirm it's the same girl. Nobody has been arrested. It's unclear how the body got in that front trunk or how Rivas died. Alex Stone, ABC News, Los Angeles.
That's the latest news, traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Yeah, we've got very heavy traffic around the downtown area, especially if you are eastbound to 40 over towards 65, coming to complete stops. Complete stops going northbound on 65 on the west loop, then the east loop eastbound. Also eastbound 440 between 65 and 24. It is really heavy if you are westbound 40 to go eastbound on 24. You're coming to complete stops there at that interchange. And then looks like we got a crash reported partially blocking the on-ramp 40 westbound from Donaldson Pike over by BNA. I'm Ken Weaver.
Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy, and the friends at the Glock store are inviting you to be one of the first in Nashville to experience the AccuShoot LFX. That is a live fire simulator from Tuesday the 23rd to Saturday the 27th. It's incredible. The AccuShoot LFX is a fully interactive experience that allows you to shoot at a variety of animated targets with live fire in a timed drill that is automatically and instantly scored. Here's why that's important. Every day, the top shooters in the daily prize drill will win a valuable prize or 2 or 3, like Real Avid gunsmithing tools and O-Sight red dot optics. And when the week's over, the top shooter will win the grand prize drill, and that is a Dira DY9 pistol. If you've not heard of them yet, you will. Just create your AccuShoot shooter profile at the Glock store, pay $10 plus ammo if you need it, and then pick up your choice of 5 different shooting drills from mild to wild. That's the AccuShoot LFX event. It's happening the 23rd through the 27th. It's only at the Glock store. More on GlockStore.com. That's GlockStore.com. Minutes away from the airport. Worth the drive from anywhere. It's the one and only Glock store. A lot of you are sending me there's just a lot of different candlelight vigils going on, and a lot of you are sending those to me, and I'm trying to get the word out on each of those. So if you have any of those and you're sending them on the super text line, I'm trying to get to as many as I can. I know there's one in Mount Juliet this weekend. There's one in Nashville, I said tonight, right? Tonight at the Centennial Park at 7 o'clock. And then I just got this one from Hendersonville. It's on Long Hollow Pike. Well, help me out. Someone said, hey, Tim, I know you're listening. Fellowship tonight in Hendersonville, but then the address that you sent me is in Gallatin. Is that correct? I'm just making sure that that's correct. In honor of Charlie, a candlelight prayer and worship service tonight at 6 o'clock. They say bring your own lawn chair. It's an outdoor event. It's on Long Hollow Pike, Fireplace Fellowship in Gallatin. Is that right, Tim? Just this is the Now Generation event. It's got a number of speakers, and it looks like it's going to be a good event. I'll get some eyeballs on the address there. 615-737-9986 is the telephone number, 615-737-9986. You're invited to be a part of the conversation. I'm waiting on you, KM. KM says that he's going to call in because he said that he was changing the radio station because he said that my dialogue sucked. And I said, well, you're welcome to change the dialogue anytime you're ready. It's not really a dialogue. It's more of a monologue when I'm talking about myself. It can become a dialogue, and all you have to do is call us at 615-737-9986. Would love to talk to you about this matter or any other on your mind. Mike, in the spirit of dialogue, is in Old Hickory. Hello, Mike.
How you doing?
Good, Mike. Thank you.
Hey, listen, I want to remind you of something way back when, probably when you were young. We're hearing all about it's the right wing that's doing all the assassinations, killings, 527 people since 1990. I don't know who that idiot was. I can't remember any of those stories, and they won't name names or places. But I do remember a place down in Texas when Bill Clinton and Janet Reno burned down a place called the Branch Davidians. You remember that?
Yeah, Waco, Texas, sure.
Waco, Texas, and a bunch of kids were killed.
1993, if I'm not mistaken.
That wasn't right wing. That was left wing. So if we're going to start piling up bodies like the Democrats are blaming us for, maybe they better add on to that 9/11 body count of Waco, Texas, because that came from Bill Clinton and Janet Reno.
Yeah, I mean, Waco was obviously a horribly botched operation where the government overstepped its authority and overstepped in a way that led to the death of many people that didn't have to die.
Exactly.
Ruby Ridge is another example of that, too, by the way.
Well, those people were living on their own land, and you may not have believed their beliefs. They had no right to go in there and burn them out, kill them, but just because.
No, and there were my understanding, and I haven't read about Waco in a long time. I haven't refreshed my memory on it, but if my memory serves me correctly, I mean, there were some legitimate concerns about what was going on inside of the Branch Davidian compound, but those concerns could have been dealt with easily without trying to overrun the compound because they found out that David Koresh and others had guns, and that was a part of the reason that they decided to go in there in the manner that they did, and they got a lot of people killed as a result.
And I agree with that, but because we didn't agree with what he was doing in there, a lot of us didn't. I didn't. But it didn't call for that kind of violence with helicopters and tanks and everything else on a compound that they own and were sitting on. And what I'm saying is that Democrats always take the extreme. They don't care if they kill people if you disagree with them. And they don't go down the path of, well, let's kind of look at this. Maybe we can get them out of there. They could have waited long enough to where that thing would never have happened. But it was Bill Clinton and Janet Reno that wanted to send a message. If you disagree with the government, if you're going to have guns and you're going to do this, this is what we're going to do. So all I'm trying to do is bring up the past that if the Democrats are going to keep blaming us for everything, well, look who the real killers are.
Well, and the obvious difference between the example that you cite and the ones that we've cited in the past is that the government was a part of that killing, right? So thank you, Mike, for the call. I mean, it does not go without. I mean, obviously, it's duly noted. And yes, without having a full-throated discussion about Waco, Texas, I mean, clearly there were horrific mistakes that led to people dying, burning to death as a result of those mistakes made by a government that did not need to do what it did in the fashion that it did it. Although there was a standoff of, I want to say it was a long standoff prior to them going in. I don't remember how long it was. 615-737-9986. Last night we heard this, and we played this first for you and shared it with you as the show was going off air. This was Matt Gutman last evening on ABC explaining to us that there was a lot of tenderness in this cold-blooded suspected assassin.
It is. It's heartbreaking on so many levels, Kira. Obviously, Charlie Kirk was murdered brutally in front of a crowd of thousands of people who watched him being shot through the neck and then essentially bleed out in front of him. And I think one of the things that the attorney here made a very fine point about is that a lot of these charges, 7 charges, were aggravated because children were present. Children witnessed this. Children were put in harm's way. And that was something that obviously is aggravating here, and that's one of the reasons that the suspect, in addition to the alleged murder being political in nature, is facing the death penalty. They're going for the death penalty. And on the other hand, there is this duality of a portrait of a very human person, a very human experience from this entire family. As you mentioned it, the mother who essentially discovered that it was her son who had done this, the kid who had got a 34 out of 36 on the ACTs, who had a 4.0, who got a full ride to college here, that kid was the one who allegedly perpetrated. She saw those pictures and said, identified him essentially. And then those text messages, and I don't think I've ever experienced a press conference in which we've read text messages that are so fulsome, so robust, so apparently, allegedly self-incriminating, and yet on the other hand, so touching. Right?
Fulsome, robust, self-incriminating, and touching, Matt Gutman of ABC News says.
With the suspect reaching out to his roommate, who is allegedly his boyfriend, who we understand, identified as male at birth, now identifies.
Hey, would you please stop? So he identified as male at birth. Is that what you just said? I don't mean to be caught up in the small stuff here, but listen to this garbage.
Male at birth, now
identified as male at birth, but now identifies as female. No, he didn't. He was born a male. He's a male. No child identifies as anything after birth. They are what they are. You are born a male. You are biologically a male. Why would you say it this way, Matt Gutman? Are you suggesting that upon birth, the child left the vaginal canal, was born, we cleaned the baby up, cut the umbilical cord, smacked him on the rear end. Wah, wah. Okay, what sex do you want to be? Oh, I want to be a little boy. Okay, you're a little boy. No, you looked down and you saw the penis. Oh, that was a big clue that you were dealing with a little boy. No, and no identification on the part of the little kid needed. Good gracious.
That was a weird piece of reporting right there.
Well, he's apologizing today. The reason I bring this back up is because Matt Gutman has rightly so taken a lot of heat over this weird reporting. One more time.
So fulsome, so robust, so apparently, allegedly self-incriminating, and yet on the other hand, so touching. Right, with the suspect reaching out to his roommate, who is allegedly his boyfriend, who we understand, identified as male at birth, now identifies as female. And the terminology he used, he was trying to protect him. He kept calling him my love. My reason for doing this is to protect you.
Okay, this is what I wanted to key in on. He quoted something that was never said in the texts. His justification is, I was just trying to create this dichotomy between the cold-blooded assassin that he's accused of being and how. But in doing so, you said something that was never said in the text. He never said, I'm doing this to protect you. He used if we are to believe the text, he used the term my love, but he never said what you said he said, dude. So why are you making up quotes?
Identified as male at birth, now identifies as female. And the terminology he used, he was trying to protect him. He kept calling him my love. My reason for doing this is to protect you.
He's saying that as a quote. That was not a quote.
But also asking him to delete the messages and not speak to law enforcement. So there's this heartbreaking duality that we're seeing very tragically.
Heartbreaking duality that we're seeing. Well, and that's Matt Gutman that you just watched there on television if you're watching on Talk TV and you heard on your radios. But Gutman is now speaking back out saying, yesterday, I tried to underscore the jarring contrast between this cold-blooded assassin of Charlie Kirk, a man who dedicated his life to public dialogue, and the personal disturbing texts. Oh, now they're disturbing texts. Last night, you called them touching.
Touching.
You called them heartbreaking. You made quotes up about them, but today they're disturbing. Read aloud by the Utah County attorney at the press conference. I deeply regret that my words did not make that clear. But let there be zero doubt, I unequivocally condemn this horrific crime and the pain it caused Charlie Kirk's family, those who were forced to witness it at UVU, and the millions of people he inspired. Maybe Matt Gutman spend a little more time talking about the family man that Charlie Kirk was. Maybe spend a little time talking about how loving he was to his wife and his young children. Maybe spend a moment or two to disabuse leftists of the notion that Charlie Kirk engaged in hateful rhetoric or hate speech of any sort. I defy you, if you are on the political left, to point to me an example of Charlie Kirk using a racial slur or a slur of any kind. Because he didn't use that type of language. I wish that I could say that I'd never used a slur against people, not of a racial nature, not since my teenage years. I admit that I did so in my teenage years, and I'm embarrassed to say that, but it is true. It is a fact that I cannot escape. At the same time, Charlie Kirk did not engage in that type of language. He engaged in debate. I similarly defy you, if you are of the political left, to tell me how Charlie Kirk was a fascist or how he engaged in hate speech anyway. Hate speech? Really? No. But no, the television networks have no interest in humanizing Charlie Kirk. They just have an interest in humanizing the cold-blooded SOB that killed him 1 week ago today. 51 after the hour. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So a couple of things about Alpha and Omega. They're so good at their computer consultation. They really do make great partners in their IT work. Emergency services are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But Michael likes to say available but rarely used. Rarely used because they take care of things on the front end. And if you take care of things on the front end, you don't have to worry about it on the back end. But they're there for you just in case you need them. They deliver customized solutions for all of your IT needs. Your computer service within house, your email system, your data center, they'll take complete ownership of all of these things, and they will operate it as if it's your own business or their own business because they become a partner of your business. If you're a business owner, you need to protect yourself from cybersecurity threats. It is a very real deal, folks. 14 successful ransomware attacks happen every day. Every day. Alpha and Omega can prevent those from happening to you. Call now for a free quote. If you're just renewing your annual IT contract, choose Alpha and Omega. 615-784-0096, 784-0096, or A&O.net, A&O.net.
5 law enforcement officers shot. The suspect is dead. Details coming up at 5 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Somebody wrote in that Matt Gutman sounds like Robert Downey Jr.'s character in Natural Born Killers, gushing over the love between the two natural born killers, and I would agree with that wholeheartedly. Who knows what will happen to Matt Gutman? Jimmy Kimmel is under fire from the FCC. When we were talking about FCC the other day, and we noted that there are certain things that we can do, certain things that we can't do because we are publicly broadcast. We're broadcast across the airwaves. Traditional mainstream media networks, ABC, CBS, and NBC primarily, those three are still governed by the FCC as well. And the head of the FCC, Brendan Carr, was on with Benny Johnson. And Brendan Carr said, look, because apparently Jimmy Kimmel, and I missed this when it happened. I don't follow Jimmy Kimmel. I don't watch Jimmy Kimmel. I don't give a crap about Jimmy Kimmel. But apparently Kimmel referred to this individual that was accused of the shooting as a MAGA guy, one of their own. And Brendan Carr said to Benny Johnson on his podcast that they are threatening immediate action against Jimmy Kimmel, ABC, and Disney for, quote, deliberately misleading the public by claiming Charlie Kirk's assassin was a MAGA conservative. Brendan Carr called Kimmel's malicious lies, quote, sick, and said they should result in Kimmel's immediate suspension and may lead to ABC losing its broadcast license. Carr confirmed the agency has a, quote, strong case to hold Kimmel, ABC, and Disney accountable for spreading dangerous, politically motivated misinformation. A very, very serious issue right now for Disney. We can do this the easy way or the hard way. These companies can find ways to take action on Kimmel, or there's going to be additional work for the FCC ahead. They have a license granted to us by the FCC, or granted to them by the FCC, and it comes with an obligation to operate in public interest. In other words, there are calls to be for Kimmel to be fired, but at very least, he owes an apology to the individuals involved. All right, it's 5 o'clock. Super Talk 99.7. I expect to hear the music. Sometimes when I don't hear the music, I don't know when to shut up, Jackson.
Well, we so rarely reach this segment because you go late in the previous segment that I forget to play it a lot of times.
See, you're just hurt people, and I called you a whiny big baby, and now you're trying to hurt me back. I know. I understand that. That's fine. Big old whiny baby. I got dogs to keep. I can't let you buy me food, man. Wasn't that the conversation I just tried to buy him food, y'all. I said, we need to hang out. We need to talk. Yeah, I got dogs.
I said, let's do it next week when I don't have dogs to worry about.
Okay, that's probably what you said.
That's a direct quote.
All I heard was,
Go to the news.
You know what? I'm going to go to the news. And I was going to do it without you telling me to do it.
Well, now you did it with me telling you to do it.
I suppose so. Ken Weaver's like, can I just do the news? Yes, sir, you may. On Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. And right now in Pennsylvania, 5 police officers are injured. A suspect is dead. This has happened in York County, Pennsylvania. While officers were serving a warrant, the suspect opened fire on them. 3 of the wounded officers are said to be in what's called grave condition. A 4th in critical condition. York County Sheriff's deputy also injured, and the suspect is believed to have died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Here in Middle Tennessee, the body of a woman found inside a car parked at a McDonald's in Laverne this morning. Channel 4 spoke to a customer who saw it.
People dying every day. That's really crazy. Like, I just saw it. I thought she was sleeping. I'm like, dang, she's dead?
Her windows down? Or was her car on?
It was, cracked a little bit. The car was off. I was just really scared in the moment, really.
Authorities have identified the body as 21-year-old Jocelyn Krause, whose family reported missing yesterday when she didn't return home from work. Now you got the Laverne Police Department investigating her death with the help of the Rutherford County Medical Examiner. And we're learning new details about how the arrest of Charlie Kirk's accused assassin, Tyler Robinson, went down last week. Washington County, Utah Sheriff Nate Brooksby at a press conference today said Robinson was afraid he was going to get shot.
Part of the negotiation and getting him to bring himself in was that we would treat it as delicate and as soft as possible to make him feel comfortable to where he would show up at my office, and that's exactly what happened.
Meanwhile, the Trump administration says it's looking to punish anyone mocking or celebrating Kirk's murder, and so far that includes military personnel.
Several people at the Defense Department have been temporarily suspended from their jobs, and dozens of online posts were under review. That's according to service officials who said they were looking at any posts that praised the death of conservative influencer Charlie Kirk. Uniformed military personnel are allowed to express their political opinions so long as they use their personal accounts, and they do so on their own time. But they are still prohibited from things like bullying and harassment, and they also are prohibited from endorsing extremist activities. Ann Flaherty, ABC News, the Pentagon.
Federal Reserve announcing it's cutting interest rates by 1/4 point. ABC's Mike Dubusky has what the Fed is signaling about the future of the economy.
The Federal Reserve has 2 more meetings scheduled in 2025. Most officials forecast the Fed will use those meetings to lower interest rates by another 0.5 percentage point before the end of the year. While inflation and unemployment projections are holding steady for 2025, the Fed is bumping up its estimate for economic growth from a 1.4 to a 1.6% increase. 2026 will only see 1 rate cut, according to the Fed's median projection. Mike Dubusky, ABC News.
That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Got a crash reported 24 eastbound just past 440. And then over by the airport, a crash with the on-ramp partially blocked, 40 westbound from Donaldson Pike. If you are eastbound 440, it's already complete stops before you go again due to that crash on eastbound 24 just past 440 there. Northbound 65, complete stop and go before you get to the South Loop downtown. Same goes for eastbound South Loop over to 65. I'm Ken Weaver.
Hello, friends. Super Talk 99.7 WTN, Matt Murphy and you. It is the Matt Murphy Radio Show on Super Talk. Glad to have you with us, whether you're watching or listening online. Maybe you're listening on the radio. Maybe you're just getting in your automobile. Perhaps you're still listening on your smartphone technology, or perhaps you're watching us on Super Talk TV, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. I certainly appreciate you for doing any and all of those things, and we thank you for giving us the old thumbs up and letting us know that you're out there. Ken Weaver's back in the background. He's serving us by delivering headlines twice an hour and when news breaks. Jackson Williams serves us in very little ways, except for the occasional pithy comment. He is behind the glass, making sure that everything that comes out of our speaker sounds as good as humanly possible, which is difficult work.
Did you just use a old phrase?
What's that?
Pithy?
Pithy. It's a perfectly serviceable term. What do you mean an old phrase?
It sounded like something an old man would say.
Look, Jackson don't word good, you know?
My brain don't. I like them simple words.
After that football game, he broke. It's not working.
You Bama fan in the house there, Jackson. I don't know.
If you're not stirring it up, you're not doing it
I was nice to Jackson on the ride home because I didn't want him to barf in my car.
It's 2025, and he would not have been nice to you. I'm just saying that.
I needed the ride home, so I would have been respectful.
Yeah.
Until you got there.
And then, I don't know. I went in, I had to go to the bathroom. We got home that night. For those that haven't been listening, Jackson and I rode to the Tennessee-Georgia football game together. And this is Cameron Smith of the Tennessee, and he's a Bama fan. This is his first opportunity to speak on this matter. And we rode home together, and Jackson was, he only fell asleep, to my knowledge, once. He was a lovely riding companion. And I get out of the car, I go into the house, and before I know, he's gone. You took
I was ready to
off.
go home. I was so tired.
I don't blame you. But you ended up at the Waffle House.
I did.
Yeah.
As we all have from time to time.
Drowning your sorrows in scatter, smother, cover, chunk, top, diced.
And a waffle.
Do you have a waffle?
And a bacon.
What'd you order at the Waffle House while you were sucking your thumb over that loss?
A chocolate chip waffle.
That sounds good.
I go pecan, but fair.
Order a hash brown, scattered and smothered.
Uh-huh.
And then an order of bacon.
You know what we used to do? I used to make apple pie waffles when I was working at Waffle House back in the 90s, they had a pie
1890s?
case. They had a pie case up on the counter, and they had apple pie and pecan pie in there. And you could also get you a chocolate cream or a lemon cream if you so desired. Those were in obviously the cooling case. But I would take a slice of that apple pie. This is not on the menu, and I wouldn't advise you ask them to do this. I don't even know if they serve apple pie anymore.
They don't do pie no more.
Well, here's what we would do. At 2 o'clock in the morning on a Tuesday night at Waffle House in Carrollton, Georgia, we take you spray the waffle iron, you put waffle batter on, you lower it, you lift it back up. So now you got waffle batter on the top and on the bottom, and you put that piece of apple pie in the middle and you slam that SOB down, and it splatters out, and then you cook it. Oh, my goodness. And then put whipped cream on top of it? What are you talking about? We would also, and I bet you they would do this at Waffle House if you asked them. Tell them to take waffle batter and take Swiss Miss. They used to have hot chocolate. It was Swiss Miss hot chocolate. Tell them that you want a Swiss Miss chocolate waffle. See if they do it.
I'm just going to do that at home.
I don't even, the words you're using just sound
You take
wonderful.
the waffle batter, you take the Swiss Miss chocolate stuff, and you put it in the waffle batter, you stir it up, and then you make a chocolate waffle that way.
Wow.
It's really, really good.
Put a little peanut butter on it.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, on top of that thing? Come on. Chocolate and peanut butter? What are we talking? Are we hungry?
Actually, that's what I got at the Waffle
Don't
House.
worry,
It's a
though.
chocolate peanut butter waffle.
I did just tweet out or X out. I don't even know if that's a thing.
You posted.
I posted. And I also used hashtag TN Politics, which we've got to make a thing.
We're trying. We're doing our best.
But I got a little treat out there for all you folks out there in college football land.
A little troll treat?
A little troll treat.
Okay. We're looking forward to that. We've got calls on the line. We're going to get to those. We got Ninkham Boops coming up. We're going to get to those. Cameron's here. We'll get his thoughts on everything that's gone on over the past week. But I promised that I would get to your calls, and Clark has been holding on. Hello, Clark. Good afternoon.
Hello.
Hey, Clark. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm great. What's on your mind?
Well, I just want to say my thoughts on these text messages between the shooter and his boyfriend. They look like rehearsed to me, and that maybe they were sitting together or on the phone together deciding what they were going to say. And then they've been released out there publicly so they can be perfectly found. Just my thought.
So you think that the idea was that the perpetrators were working together, and this one guy is trying to take all of the responsibility and take the heat off the other guy?
I think so.
You know, I would hope that our the FBI and the other officials that are on top of this have thought of that possibility. The text messages, I mean, there's two lines of thought on these text messages, and I guess we can add a third. And thank you, Clark, for the call. Number one is they're legit, right?
Sure.
All right, this was an actual text exchange that happened between this dude and his boyfriend, and they're on the up and up. Number two, they are phony. They are made up that Tyler Robinson is a patsy and that he did not really kill Charlie Kirk. I don't believe that for a second.
Yeah, it seems pretty
I'm just giving,
clear.
Number three, and I would allow for some wiggle room on number three, is along the lines of what Clark was saying, is that Robinson knew that others in his orbit knew, and he was trying to help absolve others of any responsibility. But if that were true, yeah, I mean, I guess Clark would have to be right. They would have to be in on that conversation together. And if that's the case, I would like to believe that they'll figure out the exact locations of these phones at the time that these text exchanges happened, and they'll be on that. I would not be surprised at all if there were not additional charges made against others that had some sort of foreknowledge or some sort of warning that should have red flagged them, or it's altogether possible that this was a lone wolf assassin.
Yeah. I mean, it is. And I understand that when it's this type of context and everybody understands the political climate right now and it's, everybody's weighing in, that it seems like it could be a bigger thing. And until proven otherwise, what I see is, hey, here's a guy that didn't like Charlie Kirk and he decided he was going to kill him, or at least try to.
Mm-hmm.
And he did. Mm-hmm. And they've got a mound of evidence that suggests this is the guy.
Well, they got his prints on the gun. They've got video surveillance evidence. And one of the things that kind of boggles my mind, and you know what? Maybe if I were in this situation, I wouldn't recognize it as what it was either. Hindsight's clearly 20/20. This dude was walking on campus with a gun down the pant of his leg. And so he was walking with like a peg leg. And so he was appearing as if he were disabled in some fashion. But boy, oh boy, if I see somebody like that walking like that, I'm going to alert somebody, aren't you? I mean, but
yeah,
would
but
I? But then
probably
we say
not.
that, but would I?
You think about it, and how many people just kind of fade into the background? Like, just go walk downtown Nashville. Like, there's a ton
and see
of people.
some of those nut jobs down
right.
there.
I mean, that's true. You
Right.
go
No.
to Broadway on a
Honestly.
Friday night, and there's all kinds of crazy happening. There's people around, and they just kind of fade into the background.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure that that's kind of what happened here is, and I understand the see something, say something mentality, but if I see a guy walking with a stiff leg, I'm like, well, maybe he had polio or something. I don't know.
Right.
Like, I'm not going to go, he probably has a gun and wants to shoot the speaker.
One of the confusing aspects of some of the release of these text messages, there were no timestamps on them. I want to see some timestamps, please. So I want to know exactly when these messages were exchanged and how much time elapsed between certain messages. Because if you and I do an exchange, there's a timestamp,
right?
And sometimes you respond immediately, and sometimes it's a few minutes, and so things have gone by, and so that would explain some of the gaps in the conversation that potentially were happening along those lines. Tony is next up. Tony, thank you for the call. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. I actually want to key in on what you just said. But first, I have to say, Ken Weaver, you're the first man I've ever seen that went to a Doobie Brothers concert and can actually remember it. So you get a standing ovation for that.
Hey, wait a minute. Hold on. Hey, Weaver, would you care to give Tony the report that you gave us? I asked a question about the Doobie Brothers concert the other night, and Weaver said the precious little doobie smoke.
I didn't smell marijuana at all.
Wow.
Because they're all drinking Geritol now.
Everybody's got their back pills.
They don't need
It's way stronger than the weed.
They got the back pill. They're passing around. Hey, man, pass along that bottle of back pills. Okay, brother.
You got some Dones?
I'm aging myself, but what's the old song? The times they are changing.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, excuse me for that, but to go back to the point, because there are timestamps on everything we send, the only way you can outrun technology is not use it. If those texts were sent during the initial investigation, why is this confused young boyfriend not in jail for obstruction of justice or at least harboring a fugitive?
Well, we are to believe, if I remember the exchanges properly, we're to believe that these happened very soon before the individual decided to turn himself over to this friend of his father's who was also a deputy sheriff, I believe, and then eventually turn himself into the police. I mean, I'm not defending it, or I'm not saying that we shouldn't look into that, Tony. I'm just trying to provide an answer.
Okay, because that was kind of, it's been bugging me all day. If this text message was from the evening after it happened or the day after, that person needs to go to jail for at least that. And be continued to be investigated.
I would like to believe that, considering the authorities that are on the case in Utah, considering the nature of the case, the severity of the incident, and the fact that we've got Donald Trump's FBI going on, that we're going to get to the bottom of all of this, and if there are any other individuals culpable, they're going to be held responsible. Cameron brought it up, and I tried to bring it up in the 3 o'clock hour too, that when dramatic public events like this take place, I think in our brains we're predisposed to want to not believe that one lone individual can affect history in this fashion. I think we're predisposed to want to believe that Lee Harvey Oswald didn't act alone.
Right.
We don't want to believe that it was James Earl Ray, that it was some greater conspiracy at the Lorraine Motel in Memphis.
Yeah, and you know why? Because the reality is way more terrifying. I mean, the truth for me, and I've thought about this a lot over the last week. I grew up with firearms all over the place. It was normal to me. I'm a great shot. And I realized the other day that because I'm not a felon, if I just decided one day that I didn't like somebody and I wanted to take their life, it'd be easy.
Yeah.
And the reality here is any one of us who's at all familiar with firearms, if we wanted to, could do great harm.
What's more frightening even than that, and you're right, I mean, but we value, and this goes to the heart of what Charlie was talking about when he's now being misquoted by a lot of leftists about his Second Amendment beliefs.
Sure.
But his point was that we value freedom so much that we understand that we will never be 100% secure from some sort of violence against us, because that's how much we believe in freedom.
Yes. And
that's a good thing.
And it's people want there to be a better reason. They want there to be a conspiracy. They want there to be something that is orchestrating this, and not just the reality of here's a kid who got radicalized online and from the media and then said, you know what, I got to put a stop to Charlie Kirk's hate, and he shot him. Because that could be anybody. It could be any of our kids. I mean, can you imagine that dad looking at those photos and being like, oh.
I can't. We haven't talked about that aspect of it, and I want to. And Suzanne has asked a question specifically about your children.
Mm-hmm.
Just hearing Cameron on with you, Suzanne writes, and we'll get to this answer in a moment. Could you ask how his kids are navigating this? My high school and college age granddaughters are hurting. Not all their community are right wing. We'll ask Cameron that question in a moment because I don't have an answer, but I know Cameron does. It's 23 after the hour. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It was once said by someone famous, do all the good that you can by all the means that you can in all the ways that you can in all the places you can at all the times you can to all the people you can for as long as you can. It's a nice sentiment. That's what owner Aaron Stokes has been doing for over a quarter century at Eurofix. Friends, Eurofix repairs European vehicles at below dealer pricing. That is the bottom line. But what sets Eurofix apart isn't just price. It's their deep commitment to quality that keeps you off the tow truck. Eurofix has clean, welcoming shops where you can actually sit down for a minute. You know, plus a 15-minute free 15-minute no-wrench inspection to share what's going on before they put a wrench on your car so you know. At Eurofix, you get a 3-year, 36,000-mile nationwide warranty on all repair work. You get rental cars available with your appointment. 5 separate locations, Nashville, Franklin, Murfreesboro, Belmead, and Mount Juliet. Call 844-EUROFIX, 844-EUROFIX, or visit online at myEurofix.com. That's myEurofix.com. The Wellness Institute of Nashville understands that pain is bad. It's why they named their website painisbad.com. You get it? So pain, of course, is bad. Well, the Big Daddy Trump special can alleviate some of that pain in your life. Where do you hurt, friends? Is it your neck, your knee, your hip, your elbow, your back, your back, your back, your back? They can assist you with the Big Daddy Trump special. $12 for a comprehensive examination, x-rays if needed, a well-explained diagnosis, and your first treatment for $12. Are you kidding me? They want you through these doors. They want to show you the incredible technology that's available to alleviate your pain without having to continuously pop pills, without having to rely on needles, without having to think about surgery. That's what it's all about, friends, getting you pain-free in a natural way. That's what Dr. Mitch, Dr. Ashley, and the rest of the team do. It's why Murphy made the switch, and you should too. To the Wellness Institute of Nashville, call 615-246-5009. 246-5009 or painisbad.com.
Five law enforcement officers shot. The suspect is dead. Details coming up at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Thank you, Ken Weaver. There's Ken Weaver. We've got Ninkham on the way coming up in just a couple of minutes. Cameron Smith with us as usual on these Wednesdays. We missed you last Wednesday. Sorry you couldn't be here. But we've got this question from Suzanne. Just hearing Cameron with you, could you ask how his kids are navigating this killing? My high school and college age granddaughters are hurting. Have you talked to your sons?
Yes. They were aware of it. And just to be blunt, we are very tight, and now in Williamson County schools, they're really locked down, phones in school, out of school. We got football practice. We don't have much time at home after that. And so they're just doom scrolling time is relatively limited, but
that's good.
The youngest doesn't have a phone. The older ones with phones, I mean, they saw him get shot. Like it was everywhere on the internet, and it's really hard, I think, for like a teenage mind to process like seeing someone actively murdered.
Mm.
And I know that was part of the charging document that said, hey, in the thing, there were kids there. There were millions of kids online that saw that. And
you and I saw it.
Yeah, we did. I mean, wow.
We were about to, just not to get in the way of your story, but Cameron and I were about to walk into our podcast at about 1:30 Wednesday afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
We had heard that Charlie had been shot. We decided we're going to, scrap the usual format and specifically talk about political violence in America today. And then we were getting out of the podcast because we didn't know. And right as we get out of the podcast, one of our producers, he held up his phone and said, look, there's video. And my immediate reaction was, if that's not somehow digitally altered, if that's not a fake, then Charlie Kirk is not going to survive that. And I think that was most of our reaction. And then comes all of the rest of it, emotion and anger and all of that sort of thing. But anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I think my boys, I mean, processing that it's just sort of a very weird thing because these kids are used to seeing all kinds of crazy things on the internet. But then to have this be like, no, this isn't like Fortnite or some kind of video game.
It's real.
This is real. This guy is a dad and a husband and a member of a community and a church, and he's gone. And you saw the video of that happening. And we did talk through that. I think I would love for them to be more upset. And what I mean by that is they are so overstimulated, even with the limited stuff they have, and there is so much facing our kids right now. I think it will be tough, but then there will be another tough. There will be another thing that's grabbing and vying for their attention. And I'm just glad we had a minute to talk about it and just say, hey, guys, this is not how we resolve anything. This is not the way that we express that we disagree with somebody. We don't take their life. We do not go and try to beat them down or silence them. And we've had to talk about the flip side of that, which is the approach that some in the government, notably the Attorney General, seem to have towards hate speech and saying, well, this is a thing, and if we hate it, then we use the power of government to silence it. And it's not any better.
Which is just gross, and it always has been. Let's talk about that when we come back after Nincompoops. I invite you to give us a call, 615-737-9986. It's time for the real news on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We've got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. And right now, terrible news out of Pennsylvania, where 3 of 5 law enforcement officers shot while driving to serve a warrant today have died. 2 of those officers in critical condition. The suspect is dead. Reports say he opened fire on the officers as they were trying to serve a warrant and then turned the gun on himself. Right now in Middle Tennessee, Laverne police investigating after the body of a woman was found in a car parked at a fast food restaurant on Murfreesboro Road this morning. That was the McDonald's there. The body's been identified as 21-year-old Jocelyn Krause, whose family reported missing after she didn't return home from work yesterday. No word on the cause of death. And we're learning new details about the arrest of Charlie Kirk's accused assassin, Tyler Robinson. Washington County, Utah Sheriff Nate Brooksby at a press conference talking about receiving a surprising phone call from a retired deputy informing him that Robinson wanted to surrender.
During that phone call, some information was provided about Tyler potentially having some suicidal ideations, was en route to a remote area of Washington County. The parents convinced him not to do that and, conveyed that they would, stand by him and help him surrender peacefully.
The sheriff said that Robinson was afraid he was going to get shot. And the Federal Reserve trimming interest rates for the first time this year.
The quarter-point interest rate cut falls in line with what analysts had been expecting, with 11 of the 12 Fed governors voting in favor of the move. The only dissenter, newcomer Stephen Myron, had been pushing for a half-point cut. Fed Chair Jerome Powell says it comes as inflation numbers tick up and the job market finds itself in an unusual balance.
Typically, when we say things are in balance, that sounds good, but in this case, the balance is because both supply and demand have come down quite sharply.
Mike Dubusky, ABC News.
That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Accident, right shoulder blocked, 40 westbound past Hermitage Avenue. Woodbine got a crash, 24 eastbound just past I-440. I'm Ken Weaver.
Good. Hello, friends. Matt Murphy for Stoltz Co. Ladies and germs, have you seen some of these incredible Stoltz Co. buildings? Let me tell you something. They are fabulous. You have to see them to believe them. I'm a wordsmith, and it is difficult for me to describe the high-quality buildings that they build at Stoltz Co. Post-frame buildings of a variety of shapes and sizes like pole barns and garages, equestrian spaces, event spaces, and, yes, the ever-popular barn dominiums. And when I tell you that turnkey service is available, Stoltz Co., you can be involved with every step of the process, and you can save money in that way. I mean, you can even act as kind of your own general contractor if you so desire, if you have the experience and you want to do that, and they will help navigate all of the tricks and the turns and all of this sort of thing. But now all you have to have is a dream, a vision when it comes to a barn dominium or a pole barn, and you tell them what you want, and before you know it, it is done, and they are complete, and you can hand them the keys, and it is a fabulous experience at Stoltz Co. Whether you want to be involved or you just have a vision and want them to do it all for you, they can handle it for you at Stoltz Co. You can invite the in-laws over, and you never have to see them because they can be in their own little space thanks to Stoltz Co. Go to StoltzCo.com. That's StoltzCo.com, 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 or 615-622-5992. 622-5992 for Stoltz Co. Hey, friends, Matt Murphy for Grace Point Healthcare. Affordable, convenient, and comprehensive medicine delivered the old-fashioned way. They're a direct pay primary care provider. That means that all treatment decisions are made between you and the medical staff at Grace Point, not your insurance company. Why would the insurance company get in the way of a medical decision being made by your doctor? Well, sadly, that's the case in a lot of different medical facilities. Not so at Grace Point Healthcare. They also treat the whole body with a comprehensive medical approach, getting to the root of the problem, not just treating the symptoms. Friends, it's as simple as this. Grace Point is a great company. Grace Point believes in treating you the right way. They believe in you understanding exactly what services cost. You ask them about the Smart Care plan. That's a great opportunity for you to pay one simple price monthly, and you have as many office visits as you need on an annual basis. Ask them when you make the call that so many others have made to Grace Point Healthcare. 599-6868, 599-6868. Affordable and exceptional medicine at your convenience. Modern medicine delivered the old-fashioned way. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Matt Murphy. Cameron Smith is with us from the Tennessee, and he writes a lot of great words over there at the Tennessee, and I say a lot of great words. Together, we are hosts of a podcast called All the Best Words, and you're invited to be a part of that. We just dropped an episode, boom, earlier today. The episode dropped about an hour, maybe an hour and a half ago. You can find that on your YouTubes. Just look up Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Look for my ugly face or Cameron's prettier face, and you'll see us there. And there's another episode that drops on Friday, and I think one early on Sunday morning. I think that's the case. But Friday morning, right before Dan's show at 4 a.m. So wake up to us, and then you can, turn right over to Dan Mandis of Nashville's Morning News. That's All the Best Words podcast available up and running on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I have fun with those.
Yeah, me
for the
too.
most part.
I mean, I think the concept is, look, there are a lot of long form podcasts that if you want to listen for hours, this is thought, move.
That's
and
right.
It's good.
Yeah, just enough time for you to, do some workout on the treadmill or whatever it might be, and then move on from it. You know what we do at this time every day, though?
Ninkham boops.
That's exactly right, Cameron. Ninkham.
Nincompoops in the news.
That's right. And this time it's a four-way discussion. On these Wednesdays, we allow Cameron Smith in the midst of the conversation. He brings a nincompoop. Ken Weaver from the newsroom. He's got plenty of them over there. There's young Jackson Williams in the control area. And me, I'm Matt Murphy. Gentlemen, how is it going?
Good.
That's good. I'm glad to hear that.
Ready for another win.
Are you? You got one yesterday, did you
I
not?
win yesterday?
I think that's the case, yes.
Ken, what do you think?
I
what
think
I have?
Brother Jackson.
I don't remember my nincompoop yesterday.
I think you squeaked one out, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, I'll take it.
I'm going to go with that because I need you to go first and not me. And Cameron looks like he's still looking for something.
I am.
So, you know how that goes. So you get the benefit of the doubt as we're looking around for nincompoop. So by all means, young Jackson.
All right, man arrested in Arizona after urinating on people during Demon Slayer movie screening. He claims the P Demon has been slayed.
The what?
The P Demon.
I
guess the movie's about demons. I haven't seen it. Demon Slayers is a popular anime.
Okay.
And there's different types of demons.
Uh-huh.
I texted a buddy about this during the 4 o'clock hour to figure out how to explain this. And so there's like a fire demon, demons for all types. And he was yelling that the P Demon was being slayed while he urinated on people at the movie.
Oh, P as in P-E-E.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
What did you think a man urinating on people would yell?
I thought it was a different word, and you were just using an abbreviation.
I mean, the word is piss, but I don't like saying
that. Oh, my goodness, Jackson. There are children in the car. Apologize to the kids. We're waiting, Jackson.
When you go to a movie theater, you expect a good time, maybe grab some popcorn, a soda, and settle in for a couple hours of escapism. That was the plan for a group of moviegoers in Arizona until their night took a bizarre and disgusting turn thanks to one unhinged man. No, he didn't pull a weapon or try to fight the crowd. What he did was
he pulled a weapon.
Was arguably stranger. He allegedly stood up in the middle of the Demon Slayer movie, unzipped his pants, and began urinating right there in front of God and everyone.
The pee demon.
The man was later identified as Limmel Hull, and while people froze in disbelief, others weren't about to let it slide. One audience member decided to take action into his own hands, marching over and punching Hull straight in the face. In the now viral video circulating on Reddit, you can see Hull getting smacked around while, hilariously enough, Zenitsu, I guess that's a character, showing off his flashy combat skills on screen. The dramatic music playing at the moment accidentally gave the mess a cinematic flair. Once the commotion became impossible to ignore, theater staff quickly flipped on the lights. The Arizona man who threw the punches backed away while Hull slumped motionless in his seat. A cluster of moviegoers can be seen hanging back watching the scene unfold like they couldn't decide whether to laugh or be horrified. The staff immediately ordered everyone out of the theater shortly after. The footage cuts to Hull being detained by Arizona police officers. According to reports, he was booked on several charges, including indecent exposure, disorderly conduct, criminal damage, and refusing to provide a truthful name. Thankfully, AMC handled the disruption well. Patrons were refunded, offered the chance to continue watching the Demon Slayer movie in a different theater, and given free snacks to make up for the ordeal. Still,
Wet wipes.
The whole situation left a bad taste in people's mouths, figuratively.
Oh my gosh!
And unfortunately for some,
you buried the lead.
Almost
It got in their
literally.
mouths.
No, he didn't. You didn't let me finish.
Okay.
The quote is, still, the whole situation left a bad taste in people's mouths, figuratively, and unfortunately for some, almost literally.
Oh, there you go.
He didn't pee in anyone's mouth.
Thankfully,
that we know of.
That we know of. I like the fact that they claim that it was only a disruption. So it wasn't a disruption that he was peeing everywhere. It became a disruption.
Once they didn't notice until he got slumped.
Jeez,
isn't that a nincompoop?
Yeah, that's a nincompoop.
Oh yeah, that's most certainly a nincompoop.
So what's more embarrassing, that or being at an anime movie?
Probably the latter.
Question.
I mean, if you're at an anime movie, you're at a point in your life where does a little pee really matter?
It's kind of weird, you know.
I mean, just
maybe he thought it was that kind of crowd.
Makes me think of Eddie Jones back in the day.
I've got one.
Eddie Jones smelled like pee and burnt bacon. Anyway, you got one?
I do.
All right, let's go.
Florida man. It's awesome. Wesley Winters of Ormond Beach was arrested. How he was arrested was fantastic. Deputies say they found Winters' van parked outside the home along North Ocean Shore Boulevard. Winters had been arrested for aggravated battery and was under a no-contact order for the person who lived at the house. According to the Flagler County Sheriff's Office release, the deputy woke Winters up and asked him to step out of the van. And that's when he noticed the white and tan orbs sitting on the floorboard between Winters' feet.
Oh, he's got orbs.
Orbs.
I bet he's been to an anime movie.
The deputy called the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission and began to put the eggs, turtle eggs, into a evidence bag when he noticed a marijuana ball on the ground next to the van.
Oh, dear.
When he asked if he had any drugs, the deputy said Winter responded, "Not that I'm aware of," and then agreed to let the deputy search the van. The sheriff's office said that's when the deputy found methamphetamine, fentanyl, marijuana, an alprazolam pill, a handmade metal pipe, and another marijuana bowl matching the one outside. Winters told a Fish and Wildlife Commission officer the eggs came from two nests that had washed away, and he thought the eggs were no longer viable. He was arrested on all of the drug charges and faced some misdemeanor charges related to the possessing of the sea turtle eggs. But how high do you have to be like, not that I'm aware of, have all those drugs, and, by the way, falling asleep with some sea turtle eggs that who knows where you got those from?
Sir, I mean, a better answer. Sir, do you have any drugs in the car? Not anymore.
Not anymore, dude.
But, yeah, that's a rough. And on all these, I think we should have more pictures available. But if you see Wesley Winters' picture, you're like, yeah, that checks out.
So I was a little concerned that you might have my Florida man story. I rarely have a Florida man story, but today I do. This past July at Delta's Sky Club, and y'all stop me if
this was going to be mine tomorrow. Had this one saved.
Okay, that's a good one. July 5, 2025 at Delta's Sky Club, Palm Beach International Airport. A man was arrested after refusing repeated requests to depart the lounge despite lacking required access credentials. It's one of these fancy dancy. You fly a lot, so you probably have some of these fancy dancy credentials where you can go into these specialty lounges. The exchange was caught on body cam and has now surfaced online. And if Matt Murphy had found this story a little bit earlier, I would play it for you, but I didn't, so I won't. Lounge staff repeatedly told the man that he needed proper membership access to remain in the lounge. He refused. Authorities were then called. When approached by police, the man allegedly became hostile and began saying things like, "Get away from me, you're disgusting." He was told that he could either leave voluntarily or be arrested for trespassing. He continued to stall and was promptly arrested. After being cuffed, he said, "My choice was to leave," claiming that he would, even though at the moment he was still refusing to leave. He got very little sympathy for someone refusing to produce valid lounge credentials and occupying a space like a thug. The conclusion, Delta Sky Access is a regulated perk, not a right. This man apparently thought that he had a right to be in the lounge. He did not, and for that reason, he's a nincompoop. Ken Weaver.
Man dressed in scuba gear accused of robbing Disney Springs restaurant and then swimming away. A man in scuba gear is accused of robbing the Paddlefish restaurant at Disney Springs on September 15th and then swimming away. The thief, who stole between $10,000 and $20,000, remains at large. This crime occurred shortly after midnight, after the restaurant was closed. Authorities believe the suspect used scuba gear to swim to the restaurant. He entered the manager's office while 2 employees were counting the night's cash. After stealing the money, the man put his scuba gear back on, jumped into the water, and swam away. Here's the deal. He did not brandish a weapon. The employees were not injured. Sources familiar with the investigation claim the man tied up the 2 employees and forced them to close their eyes. The Orange County Sheriff's Office released a security photo showing the suspect in a wetsuit, goggles, and gloves appearing to spray paint a camera. Employees described the man as slim, about 5 feet 10 inches tall. Here's my nincompoops. The 2 employees. He didn't have a weapon. Grab something and clock him over the head.
Pop him one, Ken. I
don't know, Ken. This isn't Home Alone.
I think what happened is I think they're in it. I think they're all 3 part of it. Oh, he tied us up. He looked like a frog man.
We were scared of him. He looked like that scuba diver that was in the G.I. Joe set.
He had a can of spray paint.
I love it. I have a special addendum to Nincompoops in the News that I want to tell you boys about before we go.
Let's hear it.
Before you play the music. I've got breaking news. And it involves a nincompoop in the news.
All right.
ABC. We were telling you about Jimmy Kimmel earlier.
Yeah.
They have pulled the show indefinitely.
Really? Jimmy Kimmel's show?
The network has announced that they are pulling Jimmy Kimmel's show indefinitely after the comedian's remarks about Charlie Kirk's killer.
What did he say?
I will share it with you coming up in a moment on Super Talk. That is.
I am just heartbroken over
I
that.
just can't tell you how. I don't know what I'm going to do with my evenings anymore. Oh, wait. The exact same things I've always done with my evenings because I haven't watched Jimmy Kimmel in, let's see here, ever. 615-737-9986. And you can text us in. Who do you think the big winner of the Nincompoops is? Don't count the Jimmy Kimmel for me because that was an addendum. That was for everybody. If you want Jimmy Kimmel to be the big winner, then we're all winners today. There you go. It's Nincompoops in the News. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, friends, Matt Murphy here for Defenda Systems. Brink Fiddler never wants you to have to use his services. But use his services, you very well might, considering what a dangerously developing world that we're living in. And Defend Systems is such an invaluable resource in our community. If you've never heard me talking about them, Defend Systems is a life safety and security consultation firm based right here in Middle Tennessee. They engage in active shooter response, workplace violence prevention, security improvement consultation, emergency and intruder action plans, rapid response medical training, and this is all customized for your staff and for your facility. Bottom line is this, folks. If you own a property, if you own a business, if you work and are a decision maker at a school, at a church, or any place that people gather, you need to call Brink Fiddler and Defend Systems. It's a dangerous world. It's time to get trained. Hope is not a plan, folks. 615-236-6484, 236-6484, or online at defendsystems.com. Safe House, let me tell you something, friends. Safe House has the safe for you, because I know this because they have the largest selection of safes. They say in the Southeast, and they're pretty confident about that. I would say in the United States of America, and I've yet to be told of a safe company, Nashville Safe House being one of the many that I've been into, that has more. And I want to make sure that y'all understand. more safes on display than any other dealers have in their entire inventory, and that's like a third of what they have. They have over 2/3 of the safes in their warehouse, and it's their largest sale of the year. They have special pricing and discounts and doubled rebates up to $800 on safes. Obviously, no sales tax on gun safes at the Nashville Safe House, and their certified crews can deliver and install your safe in your home or your business without fear of that third party, understanding where your safe is. I mean, you don't want to invite a third party that nobody knows who they are, where they came from, into your home, do you? No. At Nashville Safe House, you don't have to worry about that. Visit the showroom, the Safe House showroom, and tell the safe experts what you need, what you're looking for, and let them help you select the safe that best fits your needs. Of course, tell them that Matt Murphy sent you to Nashville Safe House. Online at NashvilleSafeHouse.com, NashvilleSafeHouse.com, or on the road, 4th Avenue South in Nashville.
Officers shot. 5 law enforcement officers shot, 3 fatally, and the suspect is dead. We'll tell you about it at 6 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Also, in just a few minutes, we will share with you the breaking news. ABC, so I'm piecing together how all of this happened. Jimmy Kimmel said something vile Monday about Charlie Kirk's killer and tried to associate Charlie Kirk's killer with the Make America Great Again supporters of Donald Trump. And he refused to apologize, refused to comment on it, recognized that it was an erroneous statement. And there are many of us that are scratching our heads saying, wait a minute, he is governed by the Federal Communications Commission, at least ABC is. Would they not have a duty to correct this information? Well, action has been taken on the part of ABC. Apparently, Next Star, which is a group of television stations, many of them affiliated with ABC, originally said that they weren't airing Jimmy Kimmel anymore. And then from that, ABC recognized the huge backlash that was happening at their affiliate stations, and they have made a decision to pull the show indefinitely, their language. I'll give you the full scoop, tell you the comment, or share with you the comment that started it all, and we'll talk about it with Cameron Smith next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Here comes the news.
Six o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast and traffic coming up in 5 minutes. Right now in York County, Pennsylvania, 3 police officers are dead. 2 are injured after a suspect opened fire as law enforcement tried to serve a warrant today. The suspect said to have turned the gun on themselves and died. Right now in Middle Tennessee, Channel 4 spoke to a man who was there when the body of a woman was found in a car parked at the McDonald's on Murfreesboro Road in Laverne this morning.
People dying every day. That's really crazy. Like, I just saw it. I thought she was sleeping. I'm like, dang, she's dead?
Her windows down? Or was her car on?
It was like cracked a little bit. The car was off. I was just really scared in the moment, really.
Police identified the body as 21-year-old Jocelyn Krause, who was reported missing yesterday after she did not return home from work. The Laverne Police Department's detectives, crime scene investigators, are looking into Krause's death with the assistance of the Rutherford County Medical Examiner. And we're learning new details about how the arrest of Charlie Kirk's accused assassin Tyler Robinson went down last week. Washington County, Utah Sheriff Nate Brooksby at a press conference said Robinson was afraid he would get shot.
Part of the negotiation and getting him to bring himself in was that we would treat it as delicate and as soft as possible to make him feel comfortable to where he would show up at my office, and that's exactly what happened.
Meanwhile, the Trump administration says it's looking to punish anyone who is mocking or celebrating Kirk's murder, and so far that includes military personnel.
Several people at the Defense Department have been temporarily suspended from their jobs, and dozens of online posts were under review. That's according to service officials who said they were looking at any posts that praised the death of conservative influencer Charlie Kirk. Uniformed military personnel are allowed to express their political opinions so long as they use their personal accounts, and they do so on their own time. But they are still prohibited from things like bullying and harassment, and they also are prohibited from endorsing extremist activities. Ann Flaherty, ABC News, the Pentagon.
Federal Reserve is taking the expected measure of cutting interest rates by 1/4 percentage point. Fed Chair Jerome Powell says the slowing jobs market is the main reason.
You've got a low firing, low hiring environment, and the concern is that if you start to see layoffs, the people who are laid off there won't be a lot of hiring going on, so that could very quickly flow into higher unemployment.
The Fed also could cut rates a couple more times this year. And a man hiking alone in Yellowstone National Park, lucky to be alive after an encounter with what may have been a grizzly bear.
A 29-year-old man was hiking a trail in Yellowstone when park rangers say he encountered a bear. He thought it was a black bear, but rangers say based on the size, location, and behavior of the bear, it was very likely a grizzly. He tried to deploy bear spray when he made contact with the animal. He ended up with significant injuries to his chest and arm. National Park Service medics got to him. Rangers say it was a defensive reaction by the bear because it was surprised by the encounter. The Park Service will try to use DNA to confirm the type of bear. Alex Stone, ABC News.
Yeah, that's the first injury from a bear in Yellowstone since May of 2021. And that's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Accident, right shoulder blocked, 40 westbound past Hermitage Avenue. Seeing a little bit of lift in the heaviness going eastbound on 440 over to 24. Same goes around the loop downtown. It has cleared up tremendously going northbound on 65 to get north of downtown. I'm Ken Weaver.
Hello, friends. Welcome back. It's hour number 4 of the Matt Murphy Radio Show, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Thank you for being with us. We are joined not only by Ken Weaver back in News Closet B, but by Jackson Williams. He's controlling the experience in this final hour of the day on this Wednesday edition. Plus, Cameron Smith here in his usual place on Wednesdays in the latter portion of the broadcast. Thank you for being here. Whatever time you're able to give us, we're certainly appreciative of it. We're here from 3 until 7, really live and local conversations starting early in the morning at 5 a.m. all throughout the broadcast day, from Dan Mandis in Nashville's Morning News to Chris Hand to Chad Benson to yours truly. And we hand off to Mark Levin around 7 o'clock tonight. If you are just joining us, just getting in your automobile, just turning on your radio, turning on your YouTubes or your Facebooks or your Twitter or Twitches or Rumbles, there is breaking news regarding the aftermath of the shooting death of Charlie Kirk. And I just want to set this up before we break this news. So here's the video of what happened, and this includes a photograph of Charlie that was not actually up during the time the video was shot, but it's the best quality that I've got of Jimmy Kimmel from Monday night on his television show aired by ABC, the network, and all of the many, many affiliates. And this is what Jimmy Kimmel had to say in the aftermath of the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Oh, dadgummit, Murphy, get some audio. Hold on just a second. That's on me. Sorry, Jackson, you were all good.
He had some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it. In between the finger pointing, there was grieving. On Friday, the White House flew the flags at half-staff, which got some criticism. But on a human level, you can see how hard the president is taking this.
My condolences on the loss of your friend Charlie Kirk. May I ask, sir, personally, how are you holding up over the last day and a half, sir?
I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks? They've just started construction of the new ballroom for the White House, which is something they've been trying to get, as you know, for about 150 years. And it's going to be a beauty.
Yes. He's at the 4th stage of grief, construction. Demolition, construction. This is not how an adult grieves the murder of someone he called a friend. This is how a 4-year-old mourns a goldfish, okay?
All right, so there's Charlie Kirk and his commentary on there's Jimmy Kimmel and his commentary on Charlie Kirk, telling his audience that Charlie Kirk's assassin was a MAGA conservative. Effectively, that would, in essence, blame Charlie Kirk for his own assassination. For me, it's not a matter of Jimmy Kimmel trying to make jokes about this.
Right.
It's not a matter of him getting it wrong. It's a matter of we're now on Wednesday, and he's yet to repair it and feels no desire to do so. And as a result, he has been canceled by ABC.
Yeah, I mean, it's just not that funny. It's just not that entertaining. This isn't an opportunity for them to cancel him. I mean, like, oh, well, I guess. I mean, when these folks use their platforms to just vent their political commentary, they lose half the country. Like, it's just silly. I don't know why you would ever put that product on their airwaves.
And the shows in question, Jimmy Kimmel, who's on the West Coast, Stephen Colbert was canceled earlier this year by CBS. And I love the fact that leftist networks like #NeverCNN, every time they mention the cancellation, if they bother to mention why he was canceled, they cast a doubt over that.
Mm-hmm.
CBS has been emphatic. We canceled the show because it has been losing money every year for the last 5 years. The Stephen Colbert show, it's a 1-hour show. Like, he took over for the likes of David Letterman on that network.
Right.
They employ 200 people for a 1-hour nightly show. I don't even know how you do that.
You just set money on fire.
The cost of producing that show, what I read was $160 million a year. And they're just not making the money back. And why would you make the money back? You're not getting the viewership to attract the advertisers because you've told half the country to go pound sand.
Yeah, and I think that that's ridiculous. I mean, I haven't seen anything like that I can say was truly funny in a while now.
So originally, the way that this happened, and if you're just joining us, Jimmy Kimmel made those remarks Monday, has not apologized for them, has not corrected the remarks, and just, seemingly stood by them. And as a result, Nexstar, and I think I put a T in there, it's Nexstar, came out with this announcement earlier today. And I got to turn it over so I can get it big enough so my poor eyesight can read it. Nexstar ABC affiliates to preempt Jimmy Kimmel Live indefinitely beginning tonight. Nexstar Media Group today announced the company's owned and partner television stations affiliated with the ABC television network would preempt Jimmy Kimmel Live for the foreseeable future, beginning with tonight's show. Nexstar strongly objects to recent comments made by Mr. Kimmel concerning the killing of Charlie Kirk and will replace the show with other programming in its ABC-affiliated markets. Quote, Mr. Kimmel's comments about the death of Mr. Kirk are offensive and insensitive at a critical time in our nation's political discourse, and we do not believe they reflect the spectrum of opinions, views, or values of the local communities in which we are located, said Andrew Alford, president of Nexstar's broadcasting division. Continuing to give Mr. Kimmel a broadcast platform in the communities we serve is simply not in the public interest at the current time, and we have made the difficult decision to preempt his show in an effort to let cooler heads prevail as we move forward toward the resumption of respectful, constructive dialogue. That was Nexstar earlier today. They had 32 ABC affiliate radio television stations across the United States of America. On the heels of that, and on the heels of Brendan Carr, who is the head of the FCC, saying, yeah, we're going. He was talking with Benny Johnson, who hosts a podcast daily, and he was like, well, yeah, we're going to look at this. I mean, we hold the licenses that they enjoy for their broadcast, and there is a responsibility that they have to broadcast accurate information, and if they're not doing that, they're going to be held responsible for it. According to ABC, those comments had nothing to do with their decision because ABC, the network, not these affiliates, but the network has now decided to pull Jimmy Kimmel and to do so, quote, indefinitely. My question to you, Cameron, do we ever see Jimmy Kimmel on ABC again?
No.
In this show?
No.
In this format?
I
think he's done.
We will see him do a Tucker Carlson.
Right.
He'll have his own little thing where he'll continue his thoughts. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you and I have already talked about the private sector has the right, if you say whatever you say, to just say, hey, we don't want to be affiliated with that. Bye. And I think there's a lot of people who just kind of forget that their speech has consequences. I mean, you and I actually think about this a lot because we say a lot of things. We write a lot of things. And so we try to be mindful of what we say and write because even though it might be protected from government, it's not necessarily protected from the practical consequences of reality. And a lot of people just have forgotten that in our digital wasteland.
There are a lot of things that I could say that would not get me in trouble with the government, that would get me fired from my bosses.
Yes.
At Cumulus. We talked the other day, someone asked about FCC, right? Mm-hmm. They were curious about, why can't you say certain things? We had to dump, I guess when Representative...
It was yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday Representative Mike Sparks called in and he said, Bravo Sierra, but he said, BS. He said the word, and it was an accident on his part. We had to dump him real quick, and someone questioned, why do you have to do that? And so we kind of went over, the FCC has a regulatory control over what we do. Bottom line is this. That's the least of my worries. I mean, that's easy.
Mm-hmm.
And frankly, I've never been told what to say on the radio by Cumulus Broadcast. Well,
Right.
there was. I will say there was one time when we were cautioned to be careful in our language after January 6th, that we did not want to encourage individuals to commit acts of violence against our government. But that was exactly what it was. It was a cautionary response to what happened on January 6th. But I've never been told what to say on the radio, ever. But I understand that if I do something that the company considers to be in violation of their values, that's a free market, baby.
You're gone.
And I'm out.
Same with me. I've only ever had one column spiked. I had one where I wrote about, in support of age verification of pornography for minors, criticizing a reporter from the same outlet who had suggested this was like conservative projection.
Mm-hmm.
And I went and like basically took down the reporter's argument, sort of quote by quote, like, this is nonsense, you know better. And they said, nope, you can't run that. And I said, are you sure? And then I was done.
So Jimmy Kimmel has been pulled off the air by ABC. Now, there will be plenty of leftists that are suggesting, the same ones that would suggest that CBS is really, because these companies can't believe that the free market
works.
Right? I mean, so like CNN is a great example. CNN can't bring up Stephen Colbert's cancellation without saying, well, CBS says it was for financial reasons, but we really know that many people doubt all that and that Donald Trump didn't like Stephen Colbert.
Right. And you know what's going to be funny is the people that are raising that argument will not watch Jimmy Kimmel either.
Right.
But it's the fact that, a Trump guy said some things and about they're going to take a look. So, yeah, one of ours. Well, the problem is it's just not fun anymore.
And here's the fascinating aspect of this, that the hashtag never CNNs of the world and the ABC, CBS, NBCs, maybe not ABC because it's their decision, they will make more of what happens now. I mean, well, I won't say they'll make more of it, but the spectacle will be such that they will turn their full attention to the fact that Jimmy Kimmel was fired.
Yes.
Basically. Instead of continuing to focus our attention on the fact that someone was radicalized in some fashion, and we need to get to the bottom of how that individual was radicalized to question ourselves as a society as to whether or not there's something that we all might be doing that might be contributing to all of that.
You know, this is what's funny is like I've heard a lot of folks be like, well, we need to get to the bottom. We already know. You call somebody a Nazi over and over and over again.
Well, why wouldn't I want to kill a Nazi? Cameron?
Right. Exactly. And then somebody's like, well, I'm doing the world a favor here. You know, I'm courageous. I'm going to go take out this Nazi. And that happens to be a guy who's just having conversations in a perspective, who's a father and a husband. And like I'm not going to say the government should police that rhetoric, but dang, you should. I mean, you know what you're doing. You know, it's extreme hyperbole, and we see it all the time, but it's because nothing else gets through. So we decide we must be extreme. And then we wonder why people are weird.
Well, the same people that use terminology like Nazi and fascist are the same people that tell these same audience members that are consuming this that democracy is at stake, that it's on the ballot, that it is an existential crisis, that if we don't, and they could not cut through the clutter any other way but to say, this is the last free election we'll ever have if you don't vote for a Democrat.
Mm-hmm.
And they know it's garbage. It was garbage when they said it. They know it's garbage when it comes out of their mouths. And it seems like they say it without any thought as to how people consume it, that there are people that believe them.
Yeah. And I am always very clear here that you are responsible for policing the speech that you consume. Like, it's on you. Like, it's not it's not your job and my job, and we're talking to an audience right now to anticipate, well, this person might think this thing, but otherwise you can never say anything, right? But this is different, and we understand what's happening here, particularly, let's be honest about it, with tech companies. I mean, the idea of keeping us on the attention treadmill, keeping us ticked off, that means we're looking at more, we're posting more, we're cycling more, and that's more revenue in their pocket. Like, that's the truth.
Well, and the same people, as you and I talked about on the podcast today, the same people that are using terms like Nazi and fascist, the same people that are saying it's an existential crisis, democracy's going to die if you don't do something about it and do something about it right now, are the same ones that tell you that words are violence, right? That, if they say something to you, that equates to violence because they have harmed you in the same way. So the consumer is hearing all of these things, And they suggest, well, if what he's saying to me amounts to violence, then it's perfectly appropriate for me to respond in a violent way.
And this is why the hate speech stuff is so dangerous.
100%.
This is why Pam Bondi is so wrong here, because when we start this argument, well, some of this speech is so hateful, we have to have the government protect us from it. Oh, so now you're saying that speech is it's harmful the way like punching someone's harmful.
Nope.
And yeah, it's just not true. That's why hate speech is so dangerous because then who decides hate? Who gets to decide what's okay to say?
You do not want a government big enough or strong enough to determine what hate means to them.
Yeah.
Because that same government that might point the finger at people that you appreciate that they're pointing the finger at, if that government changes hands and they start pointing the finger at you, who's going to be there to help you at that stage, right? And so the free market will handle that. This is the free ABC. I do not believe for a second that ABC is canceling Jimmy Kimmel because of any government intervention.
Right.
They canceled Jimmy Kimmel because one of their network affiliates with 32 television stations said, we're not carrying him anymore. And I guarantee you, if Nexstar made that decision and announced that decision today, how many other affiliate television stations were going to ABC and going, we have a problem here. Do you understand the amount of complaints that we're getting locally about this show?
Yeah.
This late night show that doesn't mean anything to the local affiliations?
Bingo. And what I think happened here is just kind of hilarious. It's Jimmy Kimmel wasn't worth the hassle.
Right.
And so they were like, yeah,
and costing the state and probably costing the company millions of dollars. They probably haven't made money in years. And this is an easy way for them to say, you know what?
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, if you're making money for a company,
betcha.
They'll put up with a lot.
Yes.
And they will defend you. But if you're not making money for a company, I promise you.
I mean, if we're talking
like yesterday's trash.
College football, and somebody says something, they'll be like, well, we talked to him. Like, they'll do that. But like,
oh, yeah.
No. I mean, when something is profitable, you don't have to like it, but it's true. People find ways to make it work out.
I remember when I'll tell you what, I'll use an example in just a moment of what you're talking about with Nick Saban saying the S-bomb. Remember when that happened?
Mm-hmm.
And you know what Nick Saban was doing when that happened? Winning football games. And so you know what all these church-going grandmas said? He can say whatever he wants to. He's winning football games. It's 25 after the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hello, friends. Matt Murphy for Savory Spice. I encourage you, when you're down Franklin Way, or you should make the point, if you don't get down that way very often, to go down specifically to go see the gang at Savory Spice. Holly and David are good people. They love their community that they serve. As a matter of fact, Holly sent me a video that I shared on my online profile of the beautiful vigil that was held in downtown Franklin just the other day, honoring the life of Charlie Kirk. They're right downtown next to Grace Pharmacy. They have incredible spices. They got great deals. I mean, let me tell you, the pumpkin spice that is available at Savory Spice, need I say more, right? They got all the fall flavors for you at Savory Spice. They got more than just that. They got salts and seasonings and exotic flavors and all of that, and the seasonal items that you love about the fall. So if you're cooking something up on the weekends for football, or maybe you're getting ready for fall season or Halloween, it's time to get to Savory Spice. You up your food game by upping your spice game. You up your spice game at Savory Spice. Go see them and tell them I said hello. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Matt Murphy and you. Thank you for being with us. It is 6:36. We are joined by Cameron Smith, who joins us each of these Wednesdays, and we appreciate his time today, talking about the latest news in the aftermath and in the reactionary phase of the assassination of Charlie Kirk. ABC, and I should note, and someone just alerted me to this, and I would have noted it on the front end, but I did not know that WKRN, Channel 2 in Nashville, Tennessee, is an X-Star affiliate. So they were planning on doing that anyway. Well, we now learn that Jimmy Kimmel has been pulled off the airwaves indefinitely over remarks regarding Charlie Kirk. Bottom line is this. I'm telling you that he could have saved his job and his show had he simply I assume he's on all week. He was on Monday, so it would stand to reason that he was on last night. All you got to do is say, hey, my bad. I mean, Americans are very forgiving people, even in these emotional times. And as much as the political right hates you because you hate us, obviously, and I think the feeling's probably mutual, I think you save your skin by coming back out and going, hey, I spoke too soon, and just being a little bit humble, just a little contrite.
I just don't think there's so much going on that I would not have known that had Nexstar not flagged it, right? And said this is a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then ABC react to that like it's just not worth the hassle. Bye. And I think that's the truth. Is we can say it's in reaction to comments, but like I listened to the comments same as you. Like they weren't great, but like you could have, like you said, easily recovered this.
Well, this I think I tend to agree with you. This seems more like maybe ABC would let it slide, but when Nexstar made the decision and it's 32 affiliate television stations, they're like, hey, guys, how much money has Kimmel lost us in the last couple of years?
Right.
Oh, well, let's just, okay, goodbye.
Right.
See you later. You not only are you costing us money, you're causing us a hassle too. No, thank you.
Well, and I think that format's struggling just generally. Like, this is not
100%.
Johnny Carson, right?
100%.
This is not Dave Letterman.
No. I mean, no. I would not be surprised if there were no late night show formats of that nature at all. I mean, what more are there? Tonight Show.
Fallon.
With Fallon.
But that used to
Colbert's
be
about to go away. Is Seth Meyers still a thing?
Yeah, I like NBC's offerings.
But even through Jay Leno, right? Like Johnny Carson, Jay Leno, like those type of guys, David Letterman, they were appointment watching for a lot of Americans. That is just no longer the case for any of them.
Nope. For the most part, people that absorb that material are doing so on their phones the following day.
Yeah, sure.
In 2-minute increments. Like they repackage it, they send it back out.
Right.
And by the way, smart companies, even a company like this and a radio show like ours, like Jackson and I have had conversations about taking what we do in a 4-hour format, repackaging it, putting it in 5 and 10-minute segments, and putting it back out on platforms where younger eyeballs are, because younger eyeballs are not in this space.
Yeah, forget 5 and 10 minute. Try 2. I mean, it's the cool thing Matt said.
Right.
That's it.
Or 20 seconds.
Right.
I mean, I didn't believe it. Years ago, they came out with the thing that said the average human being has the attention span of a goldfish.
Yep. Oh, I believe
What
it,
was
man.
I saying? What was it? Jackson, what was I saying?
I don't know. I'd be an extra dumb goldfish.
That's tough.
That's the future.
That's tough.
You're the little goldfish with the little pointy hat on that says dunce.
What were you saying? I found a golden retriever video.
I bet you did. Cameron, does anybody care about the 7th Congressional District race? We're running a lot of advertisements. We got Gino Balso running them, Lee Reeves running them, Jody Barrett running them, some all of them running them. I mean, do you find that people are absorbed in this race?
No, not at all. I have asked everyone repeatedly, can somebody tell me who your sled dog is on this one? Like, who's the candidate you're really excited about? And it is like crickets. I have begged on multiple occasions, somebody please tell me who you really like here. And look, we know several of them. I mean, that's, part and parcel of what we do. But I was reading through the field right now in the Republican side, Jody Barrett, Gino Busso, Stuart Cooper, Adolph Ajabeko Dagan.
There's an Adolph?
Yeah, there's a Mason Foley, Jason Knight.
Can I tell you something? And I'm not going to name names. And if the person that told me this is listening, they, and I will keep the pronouns gender neutral, they will say, hey, don't say it. But they told me that they've been a part of like 10 events where there were straw polls.
Mm-hmm.
And that they vote for Adolf in every one of them. Just so old Adolf gets a straw poll vote.
I mean, I'm just going through Joe Lures, Stuart Parks, Lee Reeves, Matt Van Epps. I mean, I think this is a situation where, Trace Whittam. I mean, we're still going, right?
Trace Whittam?
Right.
I thought Trace Whittam ran in the 5th Congressional District race. Where's he over in the 7th for?
He just keeps running. Like,
let's just run. Let's go.
And my point is,
Lee Reeves just got elected to the General Assembly. What's he doing?
We can say that Lee and Jody and Gino, I mean, and maybe Matt Van Epps are the front runners.
Yeah.
But my point is that this field could easily split any number of different ways because right now the interest in this race approximates 0. General Republican would right now probably whip this field.
I don't think that the turnout, it's going to be embarrassingly low my estimation. I don't think there's a singular issue that necessarily differentiates the candidates, with the possible exception of the school choice issue with Jody Barrett. But I don't think Jody Barrett wants to really highlight that because a lot of people disagree with Jody Barrett on the point.
It's not good for Jody.
Right. I mean, it does separate him, and he is an outlier in that. So people that like that kind of thing might gravitate to him. But for the most part, Republicans are in favor of school choice, generally speaking.
They're called teachers' unions.
Yeah, right. Well, yeah. I mean, so I don't know. I have been doing this a long time. You have too, Cameron. I couldn't tell you who's going to win this race, but I'll tell you this. Whoever does is probably going to win it by, probably going to get a total of 15,000 votes.
But we saw this with Andy Ogles in his first term where he won it with like nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, he still has no money. And
I don't think he's, by the way, all you folks out there that, and I think there was an article that came out where Jody Barrett was smacking Andy Ogles around at a recent forum. And Jody Barrett said, Andy Ogles got 60,000. He's talking about dark money entering in the politics, which, by the way, Jody Barrett is the recipient of a lot of House Freedom Action advertising in his favor.
DC money.
It's DC money. It's not dark money necessarily, but so I think it's ironic that he's talking about dark money, and at the same time, he's getting a lot of money from DC. But he was like, you think Andy Ogles is going to win re-election with 60 grand? No, some big donor or political action committee is going to come in and dump a bunch of money with a lot of obligations and a lot of caveats and a lot of things tied to it. If he's talking about the organization that I think he's talking about, that money's not coming. And I have it on good authority that money's not coming. And that's all I'll say about that. But so,
yeah,
that's a different deal. But
look, but in this race, the challenge for me is they all are saying the exact same thing. They're like, Lee Reeves, his thing has been, Trump's our quarterback. And like they all are like, we're pro-Trump. We love Trump the most.
Wait, they like Trump?
Yeah, it's shocking, really.
Uh-huh.
And but that's it.
But only one of them has called Trump a liberal douchebag.
I've heard that. But that's the whole thing is basically like, how much do you love Trump? And they're all like, I love him the mostest.
I've always loved Trump.
Right.
Can everybody on this stage say that they've always loved Trump? No, but I love Trump better than most of you love him.
I loved him when he was writing checks to Kamala Harris. Wait.
No, the guy that I had on Patrick Parsons yesterday with the House Freedom Action folks, he's like simultaneously telling me that Jody Barrett's his own man and Jody Barrett stands his ground. But Jody Barrett's not going to turn his back on Donald Trump and he's going to do what Donald Trump wants him to do. I'm like, well, wait a minute. But he's his own man. So what happens if Donald Trump wants him to do something that Jody doesn't want to do?
Right.
Well, Jody's going to be his own man, but he's going to be a Trump man. Like, what? I'm very confused.
I just wish that, there were a way to just be like, we're going to give this vote to Trump. And so whatever he says, this person would vote.
I wish I lived in the 7th Congressional District. I might vote for DJT.
That would be hilarious that if a
write-in candidate for Trump.
That's it, right? A write-in
for Trump.
For Trump. Write-in for Trump and see if the write-in for Trump can beat the field. Truthfully.
Well, I do find it interesting, and maybe it's a better way to politic in the state of Tennessee, but I'm just learning that these elections, I should have known this already, but there's no runoff. So you get 11 candidates in a race, and in a special election especially, it highlights the weirdness of it.
Yeah.
Because it's a special election, so nobody's going to the polls for any other reason but this. So very few people know about it. So you're going to get turnout, which is much lower anyway. And then you split it amongst 11 candidates. And let's say, most of that split amongst the top 4 or 5. Well, that's fine. You're literally electing someone to Congress whoever comes out of the Republican primary is going to destroy the Democrat. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
So you're electing someone to Congress with
no votes.
With 15,000 votes in a district. What are districts now? 700 and...
Oh, like 8.
It's like 800,000 now?
A little under 8, I think.
You're like 800,000 people living in the district, and that is what is that? 2%?
Yeah, it's dumb. And
2 or 3% if my math's right.
I don't understand why we don't move to runoff in Tennessee. Like, I think that makes a lot of sense. Well,
you take the top 2 vote getters out of these 11 candidates and you make them run off 3 weeks later.
Right.
Or whatever.
And I like that because and I understand there's expense associated with that. But this thing to me, when we have these like no vote and then we're just like, okay, you're a Republican, we don't even care. I mean, that's what's happening in a lot of these races. And it's when I talk to people about their members of Congress, now people feel, and you've pointed this out strongly about, for example, our senators in either direction. But in terms of House members, I have very few people tell me how much they love their House representative, which is just interesting to me.
Well, and the dichotomy of when you poll trust in government agency.
Right.
And the House gets like 15%.
Right. It's ridiculous.
I mean, it's absurdly low. Everybody hates. If you say, what do you feel about the House of Representatives? Oh, we hate the House of Representatives. But then the re-election percentages of incumbents in the House is over 85%. And I think it approaches most elections 90%. So wait a minute. America hates the House of Representatives, but you reelect your representative
again and again.
Again and again and again and again.
Yeah, well, I mean, in this case, I mean, and I probably have too much fun with it. I want to see the one that gets the first Trump face tattoo.
3449 says, I mean, I understand what the laws are. We're not talking about what the laws are. We're talking about what the laws ought to be, because they said they passed a law banning instant runoff 2 years ago. It was 2 years ago? I was here 2 years ago. I don't remember that. I feel like I would remember that. It's literally against the law. Well, we're not saying it's not currently a part of the law. We're saying that maybe we should rethink the way that we're doing things. We're not trying to fight with you.
This was the ranked choice stuff that they banned.
Yeah. We're
not
talking about ranked choice. We're talking about runoff elections in a field of 11 people where you take the 2 top vote getters and they run off to see where everybody else who just voted for someone else would vote.
Right. It is a separate election day, right? Like, so you go and then you have a runoff.
It's not ranked choice voting, yeah.
No.
That's a different deal.
Yeah.
Let's 3449. You're talking about ranked choice, right?
No.
I think 3449 is, because he's talking about Kevin Vaughn sponsoring it. I don't know who Kevin Vaughn is, but we'll look it up. How about that?
Yeah, I did. It's talking the thing that the legislature said was, instant runoff voting, known as ranked choice voting, is prohibited in Tennessee for statewide and local government offices.
Instant runoff is that you're using the same votes and you're doing second choice ballots and all that kind of crap.
Right.
We're not talking about that. We're talking about if you have a primary election which has 11 candidates in it, then you get the votes and then you find the top 2 vote getters and then you're going to run those 2 people against one another a month later or whatever.
Yeah, and I actually, and I may be an outlier on this, but I actually support a jungle primary that just says, hey, look, your top 2, it doesn't matter whether you're Democrat, Republican, or anything.
They get in.
The top 2 get in. The general is between the top 2. And
everybody's running as a collective, Democrats, Republicans alike.
Yeah, because, we already know what's going to happen in all of this stuff.
Let's see, Matt, you got Clarksville and a bunch of Nashville. That messes with me, worried about a close race. Well, we'll continue the discussion. Apparently, a lot of people do care. Because I'm getting a tremendous response on social media platforms, and I'm glad of that, and a tremendous response on the Super Text line. Thank you for that. It's 51 after the hour. We wrap things up in a moment on Super Talk. Hey, friends, Matt Murphy for Cover Nash. My man Shane Ring wants to talk with you. Now, his office has closed for the evening. As you might expect, he's gone home to be with family and friends. But I want you to remember this telephone number, and I invite you to be a part of the Shane Ring family and the Cover Nash family. The number is 615-465-0023. 465-0023. That number's important to you because Shane is not trying to sell you insurance. He's trying to find out if your insurance is right for you, and he knows of insurance policies and programs that might be better for you and your family. Now, obviously, he wants to make that choice with your consultation only if it's to your benefit. And that's what it's all about at Cover Nash. So if you're tired of the same old when it feels like your health insurance company is more worried about mathematics than they are about coverage, then you need to get with Shane Ring and Cover Nash. If you have any questions whatsoever, it's time to get with Shane and Cover Nash. $250 deductible in a PPO plan that they're offering right now is pretty cool. I love this offering, which is why I mention it so much when I talk about Shane. Ask him about it when you make the call. 465-0023, 615-465-0023 or coverdash.com. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It's the Matt Murphy Show. We're winding it down. A lot of you commenting on the 7th Congressional District race. I think more folks than I would have imagined, Cameron. How about that?
Yeah,
There's
that's
like
cool.
6 of them.
Yeah. 6, yeah.
Technically, that's correct.
Generation of WKRN.
The hell was that?
Ghost in the Machine.
Yeah, that was WKRN.
I hit the wrong button.
What are you listening to our buddies over there at WKRN, see if they've gotten any other firings or terminations they need to tell us about?
No, I had my mic and the TV pod are right next to each other, and I flicked the wrong one up.
Oh, okay. So, Scott writes in and says, presumably there would not be a runoff if one of those 11 candidates got 51%. Guys, yes, yes. Of course. So, I thank you for making that clear. So the idea is, if you have 11 candidates and somebody gets 50% plus one, they win.
Yes.
But if they don't get a majority, then
there's a runoff.
There's a runoff between the top 2 vote getters.
Makes so much sense.
I feel like. And you avoid someone like in the 7th Congressional District winning election with 15,000 votes in a district that has 800,000 people in it.
Yeah.
Cameron, thank you.
Thank you, buddy.
For everything. Hopefully we don't get canceled today. We'll find out tomorrow when we join you at 3 o'clock. Until then, have a great evening, folks. Hug your loved ones. So long, everybody.
I'm Pastor Alan Jackson. I'm excited to invite you to join me for my brand new show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Every Sunday night from 7 to 8, I'll be talking about the week's news and headlines, but through a biblical lens. Together, we'll look at what's happening in our world and how God's Word can guide us through it. Join me, Pastor Alan Jackson, Sunday evenings at 7 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. And you can listen on iHeartRadio and tune in.